sunsets and skies so blue. Mountains whisper stories of dreams so true. From oceans roaring wild to valleys deep, a heartbeat of a nation that will not sleep. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people's above it all. Save South Africa, rise above the storm. Hands together strong, a new world is born. Beauty in our hearts, let it light the way. Evil cannot reign when we seize the day. People sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The people sing louder than shadows can scream. Together we're stronger than the wicked scheme. The soil holds our history, roots run so long. A melody of freedom, we're singing strong. They may curse the land with lies they weave and weave, but we hold the truth in what we believe. Their crowns may crumble, their thrones may fall, for the power is the people above it all. We know it all.
We would love to have Julius Malema back in the ANC. That's not, he is still ANC down deep in his heart. So we would like to have those who are in the EFF back in the ANC, because the ANC is their home.
So now they're crying over toys made in China. They say tariffs will ruin Christmas. I say good.
The dramatic
Maybe it's
scene.
time your kids learn where things come from. Not everything shows up in a box with a smile. We gave China our factories. They gave us cheap junk. Now we take it back. And if a few kids miss out on plastic garbage this year, blame the deals you voted for. They say, I'm the problem. Really? You want to blame me for everything? Well, I'm not the one sitting on the sidelines complaining about life. You want change? You think the other guy can deliver? Give me a break. I'm the one who got things done. And trust me, you wouldn't want anyone else in charge. Good evening, America. Unless you're watching from California, then maybe not so good. Just kidding. Sort of, it's your favorite president, some say the best ever. And tonight, I've got a few things to say. So grab your popcorn, turn off the fake news, and let's talk about what's really going on. It's going to be good, really good.
To the dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
Ambush.
Ambushed.
Ambush.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming, it's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. Welcome back to all the Neanderthals, canines, and right-wing podcasters. This is Chris Wyatt Reports. Chris live in central Pennsylvania in the aftermath of the May massacre that took place in the Oval Office. The unmasking of the fraudulent situation going on in South Africa revealed for the world, while the South African media spreads lies, disinformation, and misinformation, pretending that Ramaphosa had a good day when it was anything but a good day, and claiming that Donald Trump ambushed. No, Donald Trump didn't ambush Cyril Ramaphosa. Cyril Ramaphosa rudely, as a guest, interrupted the most powerful man in the world. I'll answer that question. Trump's like, okay, go ahead, Rocco, you can answer the question. And Ramaphosa says, oh, no. So then he lectured. What did I tell you not to do, Cyril? Do not lecture Donald Trump. What did you do? You lectured Donald Trump. What did you say? You said, well, what must happen is the president must listen to our South Africans, to our whiteys. Have you seen my white minister of agriculture? Hey, look, we're not racist. We have a white minister of agriculture. Have you seen my white minister? Oh, we brought your whitey friends too. This is a non-broad-based black economic empowerment and compliant team. We have failed the BEE test here to bring you all the whiteys because, we know you like whiteys, Donald. Oh my goodness. Look, I'm not a racist. I have white friends. Oh, dear God. Aidez-moi. I'm not a racist. I have a white minister of agriculture. Look at this. Oh, dear God. What a clown car show. So let's go to the Minister of Agriculture. Yes. I am the white boy with the team here. Listen. We teamed up with this government that's been destroying South Africa for 30 years because it was the best option. This way we kept these radical people out. Okay, I like the story, Johnny boy. Tell us about it. So what have you done since you've been in the government of national unity? Well, we're shipping prawns to Thailand now. Wait a second, don't they have prawns? We're shipping lamb to Iran. Woo! Well done, Johnny boy. So, what about that Basic Education Laws Amendment Act? Ooh, you didn't stop that, did you? What about the 3% racist black tax on corporations to go to slush fund for black business? Oh, you don't have anything to say about that. Expropriation of compensation. You did something about. Oh, you didn't do anything about expropriation of compensation either. What exactly have you done, Johnny boy, and the DA? John Steenhuisen signed the death notice of the Democratic Alliance yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard for them to come back. They're going to have to dig Helen out of a bed and drag her out and put her out in front to try to save the Democratic Alliance. He destroyed it yesterday. Absolutely destroyed it. Unbelievable. The callous disregard. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear about something. This is not about farms. It's not about farm murders. It's not about farmers. That's the stuff they showed publicly. What happened behind closed doors with classified information destroyed Cyril Ramaphosa, and he's a broken man. fumbling, mumbling, stuttering, trying to make excuses, making sad, pathetic jokes at his post-mortem press conference at the South African embassy was sad to watch. It was tragic to watch, but it was necessary. And Trump was kind. He could have embarrassed Ramaphosa personally by showing videos of Ramaphosa saying, I don't know what Donald Trump knows about South Africa. He's never been here. He can keep us America. We'll keep our South Africa. He didn't show that. He didn't show Ramaphosa rubbishing the United States. Vaccine apartheid. Vaccine apartheid. Didn't show that either. No, he didn't. If Donald Trump wanted to ambush Cyril Ramaphosa, he would have been wetting his pants. Instead, he got off easily. Why? Because they showed people who are not in the ruling party. They showed Julius Malema. They showed Jacob Zuma, former members of the ANC, not current members, to show the situation. And then the media runs around and we're going to talk about this. Kyle Cowan, once again, the guy who violated the Poppy Act, doxing Twatterboss, obsessed with Twatterboss. Well, the video they showed was reposted by Twatterboss. Yeah, and a million other people, dingbat. A million other people. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, this was an epic event yesterday. And the media in the U.S. and South Africa are full of it. They're absolutely full of it. If you have any question whatsoever about the trustworthiness of the media, all you have to do is watch that press conference when Donald Trump shows that video. And he has a stack of papers of people been assaulted and murdered recently, including the woman in the front when he showed, which happened while I was in South Africa last week. He has that in his hand. It's some jackass from NBC News. Oh, what about this plane that you received from Qatar? Excuse me? Is this the moment for that? Are you brain dead? No, of course not, because that's their job. Their job is not to report the news and be the fourth estate to keep the government honest. Their job is to promote leftist garbage. NBC News, a property of Comcast. Shame on you, Comcast. I'm a shareholder. I'm going to introduce a bill at the next Comcast shareholders meeting. That's right. I've had enough of your garbage. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. NBC News. That's a reporter? No, that's a political operative, not a reporter. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what you watched yesterday, and I don't know what the South African media watched yesterday, but I watched it. Trump was generous and kind. He was gracious. He welcomed Ramaphosa, even though he didn't deserve it. He treated them fairly. But you could see from his body language he was annoyed. Why were they 30 minutes late? What was that all about? Was that the U.S. government that made them late? Or did they come late because they're the ANC and they can do what they want? 30 minutes late. So we wound up having the presser before the lunch, which was the reverse order, which surprised a lot of people. We were barely able to cover it. Donald Trump destroyed Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday. And Johan Rupert looked like an ass. What a disgraceful performance by Johan Rupert. And we see South Africans posting these, oh, he's a hero. A hero for what? Because he mentioned the violence in Khayelitsha? I mention the violence in Khayelitsha almost every day. Does that make me a hero? No. Just makes me someone telling the truth. And what was the attack on Steenhuisen for? Look, I'm not a fan or an opponent of Steenhuisen, but the gratuitous, well, yeah, John Steenhuisen runs the Western Cape. The Cape Flats have the highest murder rate. He doesn't run the Western Cape. That's Alan Winde, you dingbat. My goodness. Unbelievable. Shocking to say the very least, folks. Welcome to the 2,178 people currently here. Be sure to hit the like button. Just 569 of you done it. You're being lazy. It doesn't cost much. It's a free broadcast. I think Squirrel had an enema during the lunch meeting. I think he got the squirts. My goodness. This is unbelievable. Well, they like to be fashionably late, but that's not the person you want to be fashionably late for, man. You don't keep the U.S. waiting. That doesn't work that way. Nope. Yeah, Ramaphosa never answered questions because he could. Did you see Kumbudzu Ntshavheni and her smirk when the video was playing? She's like, unbelievable. Did you see how pink? You see how my face is pink right now because of my rosacea? Johnny doesn't have rosacea. His face was sterling cherry red when he was answering questions, when those videos came up. Unbelievable. Trying to dissuade and the bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about the farmers. It's not about land confiscation. It's about racial discrimination. It's about laws designed to impoverish and punish a white population for collective guilt. Most of the people born after apartheid. Anybody in America or in the world who thinks that people living in South Africa who are white are responsible for apartheid and should be punished is a blatant racist, an outright racist. That's what you are. You are a racist, and I'll say it to your face. A child born in 1995 has nothing to do with apartheid. I don't want to hear your BS. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. The Heinz family built a fortune based on their hard work, ethic, and entrepreneurialism. I don't begrudge the Heinz heirs inheriting that money. Stop harassing people based on their skin color. You racist. You evil, evil racist. Why do we hate it when black people are oppressed? But when white people are oppressed, people are silent, or in fact dismiss it as if it never happened. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable. Beyond the pale. All right, that's my opening monologue. Let's get to the news. Do you like the baby Trump videos? They're awesome, aren't they? They're awesome. So they say I'm the problem. Let's start with horrific. More racism and bigotry. 2 members of the Israeli delegation murdered in cold blood by another Palestinian radical, another leftist. This is what happens when you tolerate lawlessness, which we did in the summer 2020. And Trump bears some responsibility for tolerating this lawlessness when he was president instead of cracking down with federal authorities. There are federal laws against this behavior. So this is what we've got going on now, folks. It's beyond the pale what's happening here. But last night, 2 Jewish Israelis murdered on cold blood in the streets of Washington, D.C. 2 Israeli embassy staff killed and suspect in custody after Washington, D.C. shooting. Suspects detained, identified as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez. Israeli embassy staffers Yaron Lashinsky and Sharon Milgram ID'd as couple fatally shot by terrorists who yelled "Free Palestine" near D.C.'s Capitol Jewish Museum. Yaron Lashinsky, 28, and Sarah Milgram were fatally shot in the street as they left the American Jewish Committee's Access Young Diplomats reception after 9 p.m. There they are. They were about to become engaged. This evening, a terrorist shot and killed them as they exited an event at the Capitol Jewish Museum in D.C. The entire embassy staff is heartbroken and devastated by their murder. No words can express the depth of our grief and horror of this devastating loss. Murder on the streets of D.C. by leftists. Do you think the left is not a threat? Speaking of leftists, the racist Episcopal Church has denied services and refugee resettlement assistance to white Afrikaners because they're racist. They provided these services to Ukrainians who are white, but because of their unchristian behavior, their unchristian belief, and their concept of leftist drivel that collective guilt applies, they're applying collective guilt to white refugees coming to America who happen to almost all have been born after apartheid and blaming them, therefore denying them service. The Episcopal Church is a racist, scumbag, hate-wanking organization, and we shall expose them and their evil leader as the racist, fascist bigots that they are. The Episcopal Church refused to help white South Africans. Remember Episcopal Bishop Marianne Edgar Budd, who rebuked President Trump to his face on the day of his inauguration? The same bishop lamented the illegal aliens who may not be citizens or have proper documentation, but lower American wages by being our permanent underclass who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in our poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. Her Episcopal Church, which is so concerned about the plight of endless refugees they helped to flood America for decades, has now decided they won't help refugees anymore. Well, not white refugees from South Africa. In a shockingly brazen mask-off moment, the Episcopal Church is ending its long-standing refugee program partnership with the United States government rather than help white Afrikaner families flee persecution. They are racist of the highest order. And we shall expose the church, and I hope people leave that church, because if you're a member of that church, you're not a true Christian. You're not a Christian. This is not what a Christian does. It's not what a Muslim does. It's not what a Jew does. It's not what a person of faith does. They don't trade in racism. Only racist bigots like the leader of that church. We are going to make him famous. Well, more unchecked migration and illegal immigration to America brings us yet more disease. Tuberculosis outbreak now. Tuberculosis in New York. We had no problem with tuberculosis until we were flooded by illegal aliens bringing tuberculosis in. Panic has erupted in New York High School after more than 100 students and staff were tested for the world's deadliest disease. A student infected with tuberculosis attended Sackham East High School in Suffolk County, Long Island this month. More than 116 students and 7 teachers now being asked to get tested whether exposed to this deadly pathogen brought in most likely by illegal aliens. Thank you, Joe Biden, for infecting us with hepatitis, tuberculosis, and a host of other diseases virtually unknown in America. Well, the markets are pretty much shrugged off Trump's attack on Ramaphosa. Of course, Trump didn't attack Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa dug his own grave. He interrupted Trump. Trump was asked the question, the set-up question by a South African journalist. And Ramaphosa, they must have rehearsed this. No, I'll answer this question. Oh, fuck the President of the United States. It's my show now. Just like Zelensky. Just like, no, sit there and be quiet, Trump. It's my show. No, this will get better if only the president listens. He must listen when he gets lectured by South Africans. And it's okay because I brought the whiteys to lecture him to make sure he listens. Wow. Well, the rand will do okay for a while, Dirk, but not when the sanctions come. Yes, markets pretty much shrug off Trump's attack on Ramaphosa, but there wasn't an attack. Even as Donald Trump lashed President Ramaphosa over alleged genocide attack affecting white farmers. Again, Trump never said genocide. You see the media. He was even asked about genocide. He says, I'm not convinced of that. He never said genocide. All the media. Trump's false claims to genocide. He never claimed genocide. He never said it once. The media are saying it. Just like Charlottesville. They cut out all the comments he said against the people that didn't think bad things. Same thing here. Lies. I've got the footage, and I'll show it. Never once said genocide. They lie. Well, what's that doing over here? That's in the wrong place. Sorry, folks. I'm going to adjust something here very quickly. Well, Trump confronts Ramaphosa over Afrikaner genocide, but he didn't say that. Rama said we're here to essentially reset the relationship between the U.S. and South Africa. That's what he told reporters. That's not what happened. No, presidents truly respect a man in many, many circles, and in some circles he's considered a little controversial, said Trump. He said he called. I don't know where he got my number, but I picked it up. And Trump tried to ease the moment. But then, of course, Ramaphosa had to stick his foot in his mouth, and that's what happened. So here we have Kyle Cowan once again trying to out Twatterboss, blaming Twatterboss for the video. They don't deny the video is real. They don't deny that this was a protest in the aftermath of the torture and execution of Brendan Horner, a 21-year-old farm manager, on his birthday. They don't deny that. They don't deny that this was a protest, that these were crosses to mark people murdered. They don't deny that. Instead, they attack the video. Well, Twatterboss shared this video. That's how the White House got it. Really? I think the entire world shared the video. And yes, Trump misstated. He said that those are graves. They're not graves. They're markers to commemorate those lost, just like the Vitkreuz monument in Polokwane, which wasn't even mentioned. So the point isn't really lost on those paying attention. Trump's Oval Office video of white farmer burial sites was posted by Twatterboss. So what? So what, Kyle Cowan? That's not news, you dingbat doorknob. You are a poor excuse for a journalist. And your publication is disgraceful. Well, ladies and gentlemen, a group of older men were gossiping about me. No, not me. Juju Malema. Oh, he feels so famous now. Juju, you like those arrest warrants that have your name on them? Don't leave South Africa, buddy. Don't leave South Africa. Group of older men gossip about me. Malema on White House video clip. EFF says SA embarrassed by delegation that at times was groveling and lying. They weren't groveling, but they weren't lying the whole time. Yes, Malema took to social media describing the leaders in their delegation as a group of older men who met to gossip about him. Gossip? Dude, they didn't gossip about you. Your own words hung you, were hoisted by your own petard. They didn't gossip about you. All that Trump said is, why don't you arrest that guy? That's all Trump said. He didn't gossip about you. You don't know what gossip is, JJ. You need to learn about gossip, brother. That's not gossip. You want to hear gossip? We'll give you some gossip. I heard Julius is Cuban. No, that's gossip. That's nonsense, of course. Trump confronts South African president. Oh, Washington Post pushing claims of genocide. No, he didn't. That's a lie. Clive Wootson and Matt Fisser and Leslie Roughton. You're liars. Trump did not push any genocide claims. He never used the word genocide. Never used the word. That's your lying leftist media narrative. Trump never said that. Show me the footage where he said that. He actually said he wasn't convinced there's a genocide. That's what he actually said. But you lying sacks of horse manure want to spread your false narrative. And you want to downplay the torture and murder of innocent people because they're white. And white people deserve it, according to you scumbags. Yes. President Trump pressed South African President Ramaphosa to protect white farmers. That's true. He did. Trump amplified false claims that white Afrikaners have been the victims of genocide. No, he didn't. Never said that. You lied. This is propaganda. The Washington Compost lying once again. Well, News 24's Helena Wasserman tries to pretend that Ramaphosa had a good day. A good day? Not really, folks. White House showdown. Ramaphosa is not Zelensky. Was trained by a rowdy parliament. Really? Is that why his jockstrap is still laying on the floor of the Oval Office? Trained by a rowdy parliament? Are you serious? You say that with a straight face, Helena. You say that with a straight face. Wow. Few countries have aggravated U.S. President Trump as much as South Africa. That's a line stolen from the previous article. Exact same line. South Africa has not aggravated Donald Trump. Yesterday, South Africa aggravated Donald Trump. But I'm sorry, Helena. South Africa is unimportant. It doesn't matter. Nobody's paying attention to South Africa. Well, they are now. They are now. They are now. But that hasn't aggravated Trump. Gaza, Ukraine, reciprocal tariffs, the budget, Democrats. South Africa, down there. Get over yourself, Helena. They have aggravated Trump. He's more aggravated by Iran than South Africa. Orchestrated propaganda. How U.S. media reacted to Ramaphosa Trump Oval Office meeting. Yes. According to the New York Times, the meeting was less diplomatic engagement than a spectacle. It pointed out that Trump, seated beside Ramaphosa, accused South Africa of allowing white farmers to be executed and declared them dead white people. Actually, he did say that. He did say that. New York Times noted that Trump repeatedly cut off Ramaphosa and showed little interest. No, that is simply factually untrue. Watch the video. Ramaphosa cut off Trump. Ramaphosa cut off Trump. And he stepped on his own crank. Well, our country did well, says News 24. South Africans react. What do you say, my friend? Did South Africa do well? No. No, we didn't do well. Look at him. He's biting his nails. He's so nervous. He's so nervous. So nervous. Yeah, our country did well. Yeah, okay. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Yeah, I don't think so. Our country did well. Our country did well. South Africans voiced anger on Thursday at U.S. President Trump's persistent false claim of genocide, which he didn't make. The talks between the two presidents on Wednesday were aimed at repairing relations. I'm not happy, university student Nicole Mbele told AFP. He made it seem like we want to kill white people or white farmers for our land. It's not your land. First off, that's the first problem, dingbat. It's not your land. It's not your land. You either lost it through conflict, your ancestors did, or someone bought it outright. It's not your land. That's the first problem. You're a dingbat. You're a dingbat, Nicole Mbele. Video aired during the meeting showed the leader of the fringe radical opposition party. Fringe. A party that analysts said might go into coalition with the ANC at the end of the election last year. Fringe, 10%. It's the fourth largest party in South Africa. It was the third largest party in South Africa until MK came around. Fringe. Millions of people vote for this fringe party. Trump repeated baseless allegations that South Africa is expropriating land. Land is being stolen and expropriated. It is. By people emboldened by Ramaphosa's illegal Expropriation Without Compensation Act. It's unconstitutional. They've just taken land in Polokwane. We saw it. We saw it with our own eyes on SABC as they divvied up the land and demanded municipal services. We saw as the police were giving away land that belonged to someone else in East London. We saw it in Northwest Province. So stop lying. Stop trying to equivocate and say, well, the government isn't doing it. Not yet. Cyril's already said they want to confiscate buildings in central business district of Johannesburg using this law. So why is the law there? See, you people are stupid. Stupid. If you're not going to use law, why would you make a law? Just because you got something to do? You got time on your hands? Because you intend to steal land from people. The mere fact that it was introduced in Parliament made South Africa ineligible for the African Growth and Opportunity Act in 2018. Anyway, idiots. So, idiots. Unbelievable. Malema labels Ramaphosa's U.S. visit a waste of time amid the budget crisis. Well, the budget's been resolved. That was the distraction. They went to the States, and now the budget's resolved. The economic freedom fighter leader Julius Malema has criticized Cyril Ramaphosa's trip to the United States, calling it ill-timed and detrimental to South Africa's sovereignty. Well, see, this is because Julius Malema has the intellectual capacity of a pissant. He's about as bright as a 2-watt light bulb. If someone doesn't come to America and negotiate tariffs downwards, in 6 weeks, South Africa will face a flat 31% tariff on all products shipped to America. That's $3 billion of goods, which means that you're going to be paying $1 billion in tariffs to get those things into America. Think about it. $1 billion. You don't have that kind of money to spare. Neither do your producers. So Malema's an idiot, but we've always known that. So Times Live rushed out to do a fact check on Donald Trump. They didn't fact check Cyril Ramaphosa, who lied out of his ass. They didn't fact check Cyril Ramaphosa. No, they fact checked Donald Trump. There is a genocide of white farmers in South Africa. Trump never said that. Trump never made this statement. They say this conspiracy theory has been propagated by some fringe groups of white South Africans since the end of apartheid. Actually, this fringe theory has been propagated by the likes of you, Times Live, Cockprot24, IOL, SABC, and all the other fraudulent newscasts out there like Newsroom Africa. You're the ones spreading the white genocide story. You're the ones that brought everyone's attention. You're the ones that made it up. You're the ones that talk about it all the time. And you falsely accused AfriForum of stating that. They've never said that. I've also never said it. Yeah. So, wrong. Number two, the government is expropriating land from white farmers without compensation, including through violent land seizures to distribute it to blacks. Well, the government has used expropriation with compensation to browbeat landowners and forcing them to sell in the past. We know that with the Akalan Broderie. That's a case we can point to. Without confiscating their land, they sold it for 1/3 of the value of it, or 1/4 of the value. Yeah. And it didn't even go to the land claimants. It went to some Saudi prince. So the law has been misused. And that's not the point. The land is being stolen, whether the government's taking it or not. The people feel empowered because the government has passed a law that allows them to steal. That's not really what the law does, but they're allowing it, which means they agree to it, which means they assent to it. So, wrong there. The Kill the Boer song sung by some black South Africans is an explicit call to murder Afrikaners in most of their farmland. Of course it is. Of course it is. We have videos of Kill the Boer scrawled in English in the blood of the victims on farm attacks. We have it. It's not a song. If someone sang Kill the K's, do you think that would go over very well? If now white Afrikaners wanted liberation from communism and the ANC, if they started saying Kill the K's, would that be greeted as a liberation and heritage song? No, it wouldn't. It's bigotry and racism, just like Kill the Boers. Wrong again, Times Live. Trump played a video clip that showed a long line of white crosses on the side of a highway, which Trump said were burial sites. The video was made September 2020 during protests against farmers after 2 people were killed on their farm a week earlier. The crosses did not mark actual graves. Yeah, true. You want to quibble about that? Thousands of crosses marking thousands of murdered white South Africans. And you want to quibble that Trump got it wrong about the burial site? Oh, good God. You're pathetic. The opening scene of the White House video shows Malema in Parliament announcing people are going to occupy land requiring no permission from the president. Some land has been illegally occupied over the years, including since the expropriation law has been signed, mostly by millions of desperate squatters from nowhere else to go. That's not true. A quarter of the land is owned by the government. There's plenty of places for people to go. That's another lie by Times Live. Trump administration clashes with South African president during White House meeting. CNBC, NBC News. Andrea Kramer. During a tense Oval Office meeting with South African President Ramaphosa, Donald Trump played clips that claimed showed support in South Africa for targeting white farmers. Ramaphosa emphasized such remarks in the videos did not represent his government's policies. Oh, but it does. I showed you the video. He says that Julius should come back to the ANC. Remember that? Remember that? They should come back. That's their natural home. Yep. South African leader pushes back on Trump's genocide claims. Trump didn't claim genocide. Meredith McGraw, Alexandria Wexler, he never claimed that. These people lie so blatantly. South African president came to Washington seeking what he called a reset. But this meeting with Trump was devolved into a tense exchange over perceived threats. There are no perceived threats, and it's not just white farmers, it's minorities. And it's not just murder, it's racial discrimination, racial exclusion, impoverishment, abuse, racist language. Look what Notable said about white people, not even punished for it. Not even punished for it. Ronaldo Chagos doesn't even attack anybody, and his political career is over because of cowards in the Democratic Alliance. Trump ambushes South African president with video of false claims. There are no false claims. What are you talking about false claims? This is New York Slimes. John Elegant, shame on you. A visit by President Ramaphosa to the White House took a contentious turn as President Trump showed him videos intending to back up Trump's false claim that there have been mass killings of Afrikaners. Trump never claimed that. Trump never said there have been mass killings. He didn't say that. These are lies. Shame on the New York Times. Shame on you. You're not a reputable publication. I'm sorry. Why don't you arrest that man? Trump asked. And Cyril's mealy-mouthed response, well, we live in a democracy. Oh, so in a democracy, people are allowed to incite violence. You're allowed to whip people into a fury to murder people. Apparently, in South Africa, you can do that. Well, if you're Malema. Interesting. Wandile Shilobo says that farms are not under siege. Some clarification after the Trump Ramaphosa briefing. One of the themes that dominated the White House press session this evening was agriculture, the idea that the farming sector in South Africa was under siege and people were running away. But this could be no further from the reality. Really, really. Wandile, you live in a dream world. You live in a dream world. One paid for by corrupt governments. Wow. Don't know what to tell you, folks. Just shameful conduct here. Shameful conduct. Trump lectures South African president. Not really. He lectured him behind closed doors, and no one has any information on that. Showed a video and leaked through printouts what he said was evidence of racial persecution. And Ramaphosa tried to correct the record. How? By lying? In an astonishing confrontation in the Oval Office on Wednesday, President Trump lectured President Ramaphosa of South Africa with false claims about genocide. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You're liars. You're liars. He never said that. Benjamin Netanyahu promises new assistance for Gaza as supplies are failing to reach the Palestinians. The UN said Wednesday it was trying to get the desperately need aid that has entered Gaza this week into the hands of Palestinians amid delays because of fears of looting and Israeli military restrictions. Well, the Israelis aren't responsible for the looting. That's the Palestinians. And the bottleneck in the border isn't the Israelis, it's the Egyptians. So you start blaming Egypt and the Palestinians, not the Israelis. UK court has lifted an injunction which allows the Chagos Islands deal to proceed. Britain can conclude the deal with Mauritius on the future of Chagos Islands today after a judge at London's High Court overturned the 11th hour injunction which had blocked the agreement which had been previously signed. Lawyers representing British national born in the Chagos Islands were granted interim injunction in the early hours of Thursday, postponing the formal signing of the treaty. But Judge Martin Chamberlain lifted the injunction following a hearing later on Thursday, clearing the way for Britain to sign a multi-billion-dollar deal to cede sovereignty of the Chagos to Mauritius. There you go. So Mauritius will take control of the Chagos Islands, minus Diego Garcia. Well, the United States has issued a travel warning for terror-laden and ridden Germany. Now, the Germans, yes, one of the favorite destinations for Americans. It's unsafe to go there because of all the criminal alien invaders you let invade your country and are attacking Germans. If you're planning a trip to Germany anytime soon, you might want to take some extra precautions. The U.S. Department of State updated its travel advisory, advising travelers to take extra precautions in the country due to terrorism. Wow. Travelers should be aware of their surroundings in tourist locations and crowded public venues. The agency gave a level 2 exercise increased caution advisory. It says that terrorist groups continue to plot. So, folks, here's the bottom line. This is the government's unclassified way of telling you that they have evidence that a terror attack is imminent in Germany against Americans or American interests. So if you're an American in Germany, keep a low profile because you're being targeted. They don't issue this alert unless it's imminent. Yeah, I believe Austria is also included, Russell Graz. Russell, are you in Graz? Is that why it's Russell Graz, the town of Graz? Supreme Court has deadlocked and blocked the creation of the first religious public school. With only 8 justices voting, the 4-4 tie leaves in place an Oklahoma State Supreme Court ruling that the school violates the separation of church and state, except that there's no such clause. There's no such clause of separation of church and state. That's a leftist fantasy. It does not exist in the Constitution. It does not exist. The only thing that does exist is the government cannot have a state-sponsored, cannot have a state religion. That's the only thing. You have religious freedom. By blocking the school, they violated the First Amendment. There's no such thing as separation of church and state. It doesn't exist. It's a fantasy spread by leftists for decades. We'll turn down the lights. Natalie, hold my beer. Hold my beer. Trump says, turn down the lights. Yeah, it's a little Marvin Gaye moment. I want some sexual healing. Ooh, yeah. Turn down the lights for Ramaphosa. Oh, baby. Why the Baptists are helping Afrikaner refugees. They agreed to settle Afrikaners because the Episcopals are racist. The 12 by 30 foot storage unit in Raleigh, North Carolina suburb is crammed full of chairs, tables, mattresses, lamps, pots, and pans. Most of the contents will soon be hauled off to apartments that Welcome House Raleigh is furnishing to 3 newly arrived refugees. It's the job of the ministry, which is the project of the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship in North Carolina, has handled countless times on behalf of newly arrived refugees from places such as Afghanistan, the DRC, Syria, and Venezuela. But these apartments are going to 3 Afrikaners whose status as refugees, according to many faith-based organizations, is highly controversial. That's because those other faith-based organizations are racist. They're racist. Jamie Dimon says he's a red-blooded American, but he loves China. Well, that's not really what he said. Yeah, he said the China hustle is paying off. Well, Jamie Dimon, who's retiring from J.P. Morgan, is going to walk away. He's a full-throated, red-blooded American patriot, capitalist, but he said China's done an enormous job uplifting its people. Yeah, on the backs of American and global consumers, robbing us, stealing our intellectual property, violating copyright and trademark, and basically just cheating. That's how they lifted up their population, not because they had a good model, Jamie. Shame on you. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. Well, the U.S. House of Representatives passed Donald Trump's sweeping domestic policy bill after leaders win over key holdouts. Speaker Mike Johnson delivered a major win for President Trump early this morning, uniting a deeply divided House GOP to press a bill that many of them were still pushing fiercely to change. House Republicans passed Donald Trump's sweeping tax and spending cuts package, marking a stunning victory for both Johnson and Trump after the bill appeared doomed just days earlier. It will now go to the Senate, and it will keep the 2017 tax cuts in place and also offer some more tax cuts. The House has passed this bill. It goes to the Senate now. The measure would tighten eligibility for health and food programs for the poor and could add $3.8 trillion to the U.S. debt. Yep, no doubt. Of course, that projection fails to project the growth in the economy and additional tax revenue coming in. So that deficit may not be that large, if there isn't even a deficit at all. Well, a weak auction of government debt has rattled the markets. Nobody wants to buy U.S. debt. Well, that's because Moody's used politics to downgrade U.S. debt. After failing to do so the entire time that Obama and Biden ran up the debt, now they do it when Trump becomes president, which has weakened the market. 30-year Treasury yields surged to 5%, their highest since 2023. So if you want a good yield, now's the time to buy Treasuries because people are dumping them. There you go, folks. Chance to make some money in the marketplace. The Pentagon has taken delivery of a Boeing 747-8 from Qatar, which the media is falsely claiming belongs to Trump. Pentagon says it accepted the Qatari, I said Oman. Did I say Oman? Qatar. Qatari luxury jet for Air Force One. Yep. Democrats and other critics have denounced it is a bribe. The $400 million jet, claiming it's a violation of the Constitution. No, it's not. No, it's not. Was the acceptance of the Statue of Liberty a bribe from France? Was that a violation of the Constitution? We didn't pay for the Statue of Liberty. We didn't pay for this aircraft. Shut up, Democrats. Pentagon Wednesday said it took possession of Qatari luxury jet, despite vehement pushback from lawmakers, national security experts, and legal scholars. Trump also praised Qatar, a close U.S. partner in the Middle East, for offering the $400 million plane to his administration. A raft of national security experts, including veteran Pentagon officials, have panned the venture, saying the plane will require costly and time-consuming renovation to meet the intensive security, safety, and technical standards required to transport a U.S. president. The problem, of course, is the planes they're flying in are 40 years old, need to be replaced, and Boeing is sitting on its ass not delivering two planes that Trump ordered in 2018. 7 years later, we're still waiting for those planes because Boeing is a useless company that has failed time and again. Well, the judge has blasted the embarrassing retraction of charges against a Newark mayor. The Justice Department charged Newark Mayor Ras Baraka with trespassing during a visit to an ICE facility, but dropped the case. The magistrate judge upbraided federal prosecutors Wednesday as he granted their request to dismiss trespassing charges. An arrest of a public figure is not a preliminary investigative tool. It's a severe action, said U.S. magistrate judge. Well, the guy is a criminal, so they should have prosecuted him. They should have prosecuted him. So he walks away like a hero when he's a criminal. He's a criminal. Yeah. Yeah. Well, influencer Kendra Hall is assaulted in another racial attack on white Americans. This one taking place in New York. Influencer Kendra Hall punched in the head by a stranger in New York and slams cops for not wanting to help. Glamorous New York influencer has posted a video of a crazed stranger punching her in the head. Interesting how they call it crazed stranger, knocking her to the ground while detailing her struggles to get him arrested. Author and online coach Kendra Hall posted security footage Wednesday showing her walking down Upper East Side sidewalk when a man going in the opposite direction suddenly lashes out and hits her. The footage shows her tumbling back and falling over. And here is the man who attacked her. She followed him. Even after showing the video with the guy shouting threats, the police acted like it wasn't a big deal. Since I'm not bleeding, a punch in the head is okay. Hall said once she told the officers she had a headache from the attack, the officers agreed to go to the address, and he yelled, but he was upset the cops made her go with them because despite having video footage clearly identifying him. I can't describe how terrifying it was. Maybe they were hoping I'd refuse and give up. Yeah, so a white woman assaulted in the streets of New York by a black man is not important to the police. Doesn't matter to them. Doesn't matter to them. Speaking of racism, let's talk about the WNBA. Yep. But before we get to the racism part, let's talk about this. Caitlin Clark makes WNBA history, but Indiana Fever fell in their first loss of the season. on a missed basket at the end. Caitlin Clark maintained her hot start to the new season, making history. Clark had a game-high 27 points while also adding 5 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals. In doing so, the second-year guard set the record for the most 25-point, 10-assist games in WNBA history, passing 3-time All-Star Sabrina Ionescu. So she is only 2 games into her second season, and she's already set the all-time record for 25-point, 10-assist games. Is she not the greatest? Yeah, not the greatest, but they don't like her, so they go after her. Anyway, that's going to do it for the news for today, folks. I'll close off. There are 2,300 people currently here. Thank you for being here. Let me get to the super chats. I missed a few of those while you guys were busy super chatting and I was giving the news. Now we can chat. We've gotten through the news. Pretty good, 49 minutes. All right, let's see today. What are we doing here? Okay, last night. Okay, we got a super chat. Thank the Lord for Trump and placing everything in the spotlight. The media is trying to still defend. This is crazy, says Michelle Fandemeva. Thank you for that. Francois Diego. Good evening, Colonel. Liberals and mainstream media had extreme chest pain this morning. Thank you for 35 Rand. Jean S. 70 Rand. I think Squirrel had an enema. Yeah, I agree. Flying Boar, $5. Ramaphosa shot himself in the foot when he interrupted Trump. Exactly. Dennis LaRue, 35 Rand super chat. Echo 31, 21 Rand super sticker. Thank you for that. Flying Boar, $5 Canadian. Yesterday, Ramaphosa ordered a steak. Instead, he ended up eating a crow. Exactly. Well said. Bit Builder, a 100 Rand super chat. Being on time is a colonialist thing, according to Wits professor. Yeah, I think they're right. Russell Gratz says, Senator Van Hollen, did he realize his ancestors were Dutch? Salute to you, Colonel. Thank you for being on our side. You're welcome, Russell Gratz. Fungwan Wannabe says, that was €5, by the way, and this one's 35 Rand. Musk and Vance had that death stare. Couldn't wait for the cameras to go away. Yeah, wait, you see what happened behind the curtains. That was pretty scary. And then Erica gave 70 Rand. Trump checkmate on Ramaphosa. Con De Bruyne, 140 Rand super chat. Matt, if you listen to this press conference where Trump is not certain regarding the genocide and that he convinced there is no genocide, why did he smirk when Juju was on the screen? Maybe just another patsy. Who? Trump? The patsy? No. Odette Dieger gave a 21 Rand super sticker with a pussycat. Thank you for the pussycat. Brett Sessoms is back, $5. Yesterday, Trump owned Ramaphosa. I have a friend who's an Episcopal priest in Memphis. His family agrees that Trump, but worried about his job. Brett gave another $10. Thanks for covering this and speaking the truth. The mainstream media are lying, covering for Cyril, which Trump would have mentioned Bantu stealing land from the Khoisan. Yeah, well, that would have been a little too much for that conversation, but thank you for that. Close, folks, we're on the heels of 93,000 subscribers. So close. We're just 11 away from 93,000. There's a $1.99 from Steve. Is Central PA a good place to raise my future farm, says Steve. Thank you for $2. Well, if you're wealthy, land is expensive here. Very expensive, but it's very fertile. That's why the Amish settled here. And then my ancestors moved further south into the Shenandoah Valley and into western Maryland. Yeah, it's a great place for farms, but not in my lawn. God bless it. This thing keeps sticking to it's a wooden coaster and it keeps sticking to it. Right. Patrick, I think it's irrelevant what happened before the TV. Nothing was going to save Ramaphosa. Yeah, it's what happened behind the scenes. And you can see that Ramaphosa was visibly shaken at the press conference, despite Annika saying, "Ooh, Mr. President, you deserve a drink after that meeting." Good God, that's journalism. Ooh, Andre, trying to find the Telegram this morning where people can chat. There's lots of Telegrams, but the one for the refugees isn't for chatting. Irene LaRue, thank you for your membership. Joining us at the channel here. Chaos, welcome to you. Thank you for the 14 Rand super chat. Shellacking the essay, degradation, not a delegation. Exactly. Charles agreed. Stunning nurse. Oh, I'm talking about nurses there. Who went next after the Boer, if they got it right? Indians, colored, Somali. Huh? I don't know what you're saying, Kevin. Eleanor Maxwell, it was a slaughterhouse. I was disgusted when Ramaphosa lied and said he did not know where the road was. Yeah, exactly. All of them smirking and smiling at the video. Yeah, well, not Parks Towel. I'll give Parks Towel credit. He gave the best response. There's nothing you really can do to respond to that. Getting drones, electronic enhancement while disarming the private security. Exactly. Well, and blocking U.S. technology. Even Johann Rupert, despite the failure he was, got up and said, hey, we used to use drones from America, but his predecessor, Zuma, stopped us from buying, said they were spying on South Africa, so we don't have the drones anymore. Yeah, well, that's because South Africa banned U.S. from shipping drones there, apparently, and they won't let Starlink come in because they expect you give away your equity. So you want our technology, but you don't want our technology. This was all just a dance, a show and dance. They must have rehearsed this a bunch of times over, including that South African reporter interrupting so that Ramaphosa could set the record straight. How condescending was that, Ramaphosa? The president must listen to South Africans. And I brought the whiteys along. Have you met my white agricultural minister? Oh, dear God. Have you met my white agriculture minister? Are you serious? Are you serious, Cyril? Wow, that was something else. Have you met my white agriculture? You actually said that. Can you imagine Trump saying, have you met my black Secretary for Housing and Urban Development? Good Lord. Good Lord. Oh, my goodness. Ramaphosa, what a joke. An idiot siding with him. Here's looking at you, Steenhuisen. Yeah, exactly. Trump was the hero. Do you think that President Trump now intends being president of the G20? I think he probably will come to G20 just to embarrass Ramaphosa. I think he will. We'll see what happens in the ensuing 6 months, folks. We'll see what happens. Well, of course the refugee program will stay open. I told you that fight. In fact, I think it's going to be accelerated because of what happened yesterday. No, Ramaphosa knows he didn't do well. Garrett Gillich, are you back in the Western Cape, brother? How's it going? That's correct, Teeny. It was reverse order because they were so late for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not blaming the Southern delegation. It might not have been their fault. But they were so late, a half hour late, that they flipped the script. And instead of having the lunch and then the presser, they had the presser and then the lunch. And in the lunch is when Ramaphosa and Steenhuisen and his crew got the hiding of their lives. Yep, they got the hiding of their lives. What are the chances that Iran was discussed? Oh, I'm sure they discussed quite a bit. You know, see, the media are stupid. Oh, he showed press clippings. Well, those press clippings come from your media outlets, number one. So you're going to rubbish them? That's your own press clippings, number one. Number two, that video was shared by Twatterboss. So what? You think Trump's going to pull out imagery and radio intercepts and human intel sources to indicate what's really going on? You guys are not that bright in the media. Not that bright. Steve gave $5. I meant where to raise my future family. Any specific place, recommendations? Oh, well, Steve, I mean, it depends what you like. We have 4 seasons in Pennsylvania. We got winter, we got spring, we got summer, we got fall, and they're all distinct, and it's lovely. But the winters are cold for South Africans. There are South Africans living in Pennsylvania, a number of them. In fact, Pookie Jessica, she lives here in Pennsylvania. Jacques Olafia, will we ever know what was said? Yes, we will. Somebody will leak it, Jacques. Someone will have a big mouth. It's the one thing we know about White House administrations since Bill Clinton is someone has a big mouth. Someone will always say what happened. No way it's not going to come out. Yeah, I haven't seen the media statement El Marie Mayor where he said he smoothed Trump over. That didn't happen. If he did, then Trump would have suspended the refugee program, but he didn't, did he? Didn't do it, did he? Yeah. Ram and Rupert was enough money to bribe people to make false stories. Yep. Can't wait. Rupert doesn't need to sleep behind locked doors, and South Africa was quite pressed. That was pretty funny. But I think the best moment of the whole thing is like, where's this? I've never seen this. Oh my gosh. Are you serious? What a liar. What an absolute liar. Oh, you can camp on my neighbor's lawn. I don't like him. White House press briefing. Okay, let's go to that. Let's go to the White House press briefing. Let's see what they got going on. Oh, they're actually... Oh, yeah, it's coming shortly. Okay, let me get it up. We'll cover that then. We'll stay here for the White House press briefing, okay? As soon as it goes live. I'll leave the sound on so we know. Carolyn Levitt. It's going to be all South Africa, folks, so hang on. We're going to have the Carolyn Levitt press briefing soon. Probably at 1 o'clock. Thank you for the heads up on that. Appreciate that. Need to share something. I have a black friend here, and he lives in the Congo, a beautiful place, but here in South Africa, he lives in a squatter camp. Okay, and I'm so pissed off while we fear for our lives. Gosh, my eyes are bothering me every night. Doing patrols, wondering where we will become statistic, that smirk and smile they're showing brutality. Yeah, exactly, Mad Max. 100% with you there. 100% with you. I promise I won't camp on your lawn. Thank you for the heads up in the White House, Kevin. I got it ready now. See, I'll show you. We're all ready. As soon as I go live, we'll have it. Rupert is a total retard, Lorraine says. Pablo Charlie. What about the one big beautiful bill? I already talked about it, Pablo Charlie. Where have you been? Or where have you been? You pop in here at 12:57 after I cover the news and say all about South Africa. Dude, I talked about the one big beautiful bill. It passed the House. It's going to the Senate. Don't come in here because you're late to the program and pretend that we didn't cover something, Pablo Charlie. That's called trolling. Yes, Braun, I'm feeling a bit better, but it's still there. Oh, sorry, Pablo. Okay. Sorry, my bad. Misunderstood. See, that's the problem with text. Mention because not all of them are so poor as they say they are. Kleinfontaine, they are raising tax on the homes over 3. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're driving people out. That's how they're going to do it. Natasha Posthumus, welcome to you. Yeah, so bribe rookies. Bribe rookies. So folks, let's take a look at what's going on here with the channel, because you guys are really helping blow this channel up. We just went over 93,000 subscribers. That 100,000 is in reach. Can we get there before the end of the month? Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be amazing? We got there before the end of the month. So the video I did this morning in my summary is now at, hang on a second. It's tailing off a little bit. 57,000 views. 57,000 views. 11,000 last hour, so it's tailing off a little bit. My son was robbed, or let's say almost he's a big boy, but 3 thugs asking about farms. They're going to shoot us. They can. What the heck? When was this, Golda? For misogynists, Trump sure has a lot of extremely competent women work from Indeed 1440. That's right. Ramaphosa, one of the only billionaires out there, has been making effort. Yeah, that's true, NDK. Johan Terblanche, good evening to you. Feeling better. Thank you, Johan. Often watch your clips and occasionally your rugby chats. I want to thank you for your efforts bringing the focus out. You're welcome, Kevin Innes. My pleasure. There is hope for South Africa, Ursula. There is, but not with these clowns running it. Do you think Ramaphosa and Stanley slept in FEMA tents? Yeah, I wish they did. Check the glare Ramaphosa gave Lamola when handing him the paper clips. Yeah, well, I'm sure Ronnie Lamola did a bad job because he's incompetent. The guy is just a serial pathological liar, and he has no idea what he's doing. He's been out of his depth at every job he's been given. I don't know why he's even a member of parliament, let alone a cabinet minister. Okay, what else you got here? The world has black fatigue. Lots of viewers to run a poll now. What's the subject? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll do a poll. How did Ramaphosa do? There you go. We've got a lot of viewers here while we wait for this. Start a poll. So, I'm going to give you 3 options here. Okay, grade Ramaphosa's performance yesterday. That's wrong. Typos here. Ramaphosa. Grade Ramaphosa's performance yesterday. There's your poll. Malka, thank you for joining. The alert box is off. Sorry about that. That chin is about to feel the cold. Whose chin? Will Bismol be an optional? It wasn't one of the options. Knursis says 93,000. Micah, thank you for your membership. We may not recognize Chris if he shaves his beard. Who said it was going away? I said I'd trim it up. Joining your live for a little late. What's your opinion of Malema gaining a lot of praise for this meeting? Praise from whom? Idiots, maybe. But that really doesn't mean anything. Paul Dovden, yeah, welcome back. Did you see Mabalula asked ChatGPT? No, I didn't see that. Abu Gift following. What's going on with that? Suddenly what's that? That's not a dinosaur. What happened to my dinosaur? That's weird. Rentia, welcome to you. Do people, what's this? Okay, do you see, okay, we must demand a speech from him. Okay, do people really think that Trump doesn't have people that can tell body language? Yeah, well, did you see Trump's body language? Absolutely explosive. Immense respect for Trump, says Lorraine. Sean, if I may ask, if whites are so hated, why not just let them leave? Exactly. Gail Nell, positions for cares. What? Add option for cock. Why is Daniel laughing at my 100,000? The beard's not coming off, no. Trump didn't address racist policies because the thing was cut full. It was cut. They had to go to the lunch because they were late. Yeah, their asses handed to him, says Justice. You're right. Referendum ending apartheid was held in 1992. The referendum was limited to white South End voters. Yes, and 62% said it wasn't to end apartheid. Actually, it was to change the political dispensation. Yep. Roxy, quick question. Did you, by any miraculous chance, manage to bug the room? Yeah, I wish I bugged it. I joked about that on Newsroom Africa, my interview. Did not have the decency to show up at time. Farm murder is a reality. Don't let Sarah fool you. My son was robbed at gunpoint. He used to be so compassionate. Now he's just anti. Yep. Okay. Sounded like you tried to end Tor keyboard with aggressive typing. Huh? What? Don't know what you're talking about there. Still waiting for this thing. Live, nothing happening. Let me reload it. Make sure it's not. Yep, nothing. Okay, I'm just double checking. Okay. Tammy Bruce spoke on News Nation saying they're not canceling after pro. Good. Time wasted your life in trolls. Okay. Just dropping in to say a huge thank you, says Bob. Hey, Bob, how's it going, man? Oh, I'm a legend. Thank you so much. Yes, and legend, says Kurt Darren. Yes, and legend. Chantel, thank you for becoming a member. I want to punish white people. Us whites pay 80% of the country's tax, yet after social grants we're blamed. Wow, exactly. Daniel Smith, Jaak Wolf Ferve. Okay, that was him. Sorry, I'm laughing at the beard part reaching 100. Oh, gotcha, Daniel. I didn't get it. See, that was confusing. Okay, gotcha. Nico, no, you don't have to apologize. I just understand. If whites leave, the value of the economy collapses. Exactly. Would you say the post-Oval Office meeting went, that meeting went worse, Dylan. Ramaphosa was visibly shaken when he gave his news conference. You could see he was rattled. No, it went very badly. I think Trump's going to attend the G20. I think he's going to attend. And we'll see what happens in the next 6 months. Yep. So, what else? Give us an honest opinion regarding Namibia versus South Africa. What do you mean, Mike? An honest opinion. Namibia is going in the wrong direction now, too. Yeah, both sides reported they won. South Africa media's got it so wrong. So does U.S. media got it wrong. Kelvin, Tableview, Cape Town, and a bogey. Thanks, Colonel. Just, there may be some hope. There could be change. Let's see. Malema and Zuma have evidence against Ramaphosa people. Yeah, I think they do. Myra Prinsloo. Trump gave a PK. Thank you for bringing this to the world's attention. Hope one day to be lucky. Yeah, we had 155,000 people tune in during that live stream yesterday. 14,600 was the peak. It was an epic day, folks. Thank you so much. The chat rate was off the charts, 88. Never seen it. Today's chat rate's 41 by comparison. Wow, and that's pretty high itself. They went to lunch very shortly after his words were, we will have to re-engage. Yeah, right. Playing chess with a pigeon if you want to negotiate 0-0. Sedgefield's back. Okay. I already read that one. How's it back here? Notice, congratulations. Okay. What's that? Okay, Michelle Heckler, good to see you there. Your opinion allegation that Woolworth stopped support a white orphanage. I don't know much about that story. That's something Joe Emilio put together, and I understand it to be true. I talked to Joe about it briefly when I visited him the other day, and Joe's video was blocked in South Africa for bogus reasons, but you can watch it here in America, so I'll watch it when I get a chance. How will you fix the police, for example? Well, very simple, Christoph, on ARDA. First off, I'd fund them appropriate. Next, I would put every police officer through a rigorous examination to make sure they understand the law, existing police officers. And then I would also put them through physical fitness tests. Those who fail both would be ineligible for continued service. They could be put on probation until they come up to standard. And if they come up to standard, then they can stand the force. And then we have a professional police force. And from there, we start recruiting people based on their skills and their motivation and physical fitness, not on their skin color. And we do away with the general officer ranks, which are a joke. That's an absolute joke. They should be commissioners and things like that, not friggin' generals. They get a high opinion of themselves. Next, I would fund the police properly, so they had vehicles and equipment to do what they need to do. Also, they would get training exercises on how to be proper policing, community policing. I would put the police in the neighborhoods, walking around. I would also pay to fix our forensics problem in South Africa, and I would begin a training program for police detectives to investigate violent crimes. And I would ask the United States to assist them. The United States has a very successful program helping people in places like the former Yugoslavia train police detectives and how to be actual detectives. Former Los Angeles police officers and Chicago police officers, New York police officers are part of this program. And many police departments around the country, retired officers going over and sharing their expertise on how to be a successful detective. This is how I would fix South Africa's policing problem. I would also reinstitute the commandos. Yep, as a reserve force under the Department of Defense. Yep, that's how I would fix the policing. That's the start. But it doesn't matter if the police are fixed. If the Justice Department doesn't prosecute the criminals and put them in prison, then it doesn't mean anything. Quit calling me these stupid spam numbers. Gosh. So, Krista, that's my answer. Poke Cyril's leg to watch what was being shown. Yeah, I said, watch this. Don't look away. Crypto Noob, welcome back. We're still waiting for Carolyn Levitt. She's late. Gray in the cheeks, sweating bullets. Poor Rama. Yep. Not sure if it's true, but just saw a video of Rama giving Trump shit. And really? I think that must be old. You think Trump made Ramaphosa an offer he can't refuse? Really, Hein? Such as? Gary Wild, welcome. Jacques-Jean Foncel. Yes, some things can't be said here because of YouTube. I think Karen was saying anything about the Trump. Oh, yeah, I do. That's going to be a top topic. That's going to be the questions today. That's why we're waiting for it. Otherwise, we'd wrap up. Not yet, but soon enough. Okay. We jumped ahead there. Gosh bless it. How far behind am I? Why must not speak? Because it was inappropriate. It was too short. There wasn't time for that. Vance didn't speak either. Trump didn't let any of his team speak. None of them did. Yeah, Namibia's not far behind. It's getting worse there. I hope Trump does come to G20. It would be an eye-opener. Exactly, Gail. I think I've already offered. If President Trump goes to the G20 and Paul Mashatile shows him around to, the upscale neighborhoods in Cape Town and Blouberg and Parklands, and takes him to mansions, in Sea Point or something like that, and takes him up to Santon City, shows him all the ritzy places, then I'll be happy to take him to Alexandria, Kailicha, Cape Flats, out to farms. I'll be happy to take him around after he's done with Paul Mashatile. Yes, U.S. Pala Pala, I don't know about securities crime because there's no securities involved, Jono, but it could be a currency crime. And Arthur Ivester just subscribed. Thank you. Elon was giving death stares. Yeah, exactly. He did what he needed to do in that meeting. No, Ramaphosa did not stay in the U.S. to make a deal. They didn't come to make a deal. They came to become martyrs because they're idiots. Steve Vubo, welcome you. Jason Barnard. I was screaming all sorts of cheers during yesterday's stream. I'll bet you. Wonder what was the joke when the videos played. They all laughed. Yeah, it shows their sick attitude to the torture and murder of innocents. Yes, Vlom, Colonel Wyatt does need to be on Trump's team. I agree. Wonder what Friends and Family Only Friday surprise. Yeah, that could be it. Looking forward to the deal that Trump will do with him, what the ultimatum will be. Okay, Fakine Mabalula, praise Johan Rupert. I saw that Twitter post. Yep. Neil says, thanks for all you do for our country. Much appreciated. You're very welcome. Dutchy, thank you for subscribing. Teresa Mostert, South Africa, hospitality and beauty of the country will seduce baby Trump. Don't hang on there. Reinstate the Hawks to investigate the police for corruption. Well, the Hawks are there. You mean the Scorpions. Vanguard Tactical Solutions just subscribed. Karen Fundavest was, and Elon was for real staring them down. Yeah, he was told to be quiet. Yep, they were all told to be quiet. Yep, reinstate the commando system. I already said that. Okay. No Kentucky for the police force. Eating less KFC. There you go. Good guy, John. I feel ashamed I fell for old footage and played as new, falling for fake media. What old footage did you fall for? Sorry, I hope I don't miss it. The refugee program's on. Yes, the refugee program's on, Gerda. Why would it be stopped? The gutter plane negotiations started a year ago under Biden. Thank you, Martin Metz. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But they say it's Trump's plane. You notice that? Notice how they lie about Trump? Yes, Ramaphosa got a PK yesterday. He got a PK. He got spanked hard. Yeah, the USA is not giving up South Africa. In fact, more attention is coming towards it. ANC took away the commandos. Oh, that was a long time ago, Wilford. Trump said he didn't want to attend the G20 because of the race issue. What do you think changed his mind? He didn't say he's coming. But why do I think he changed his mind? I think he wants to make an example of South Africa after this abysmal, disrespectful performance by Ramaphosa, who interrupted him and dug his own grave. Cannot believe they thought taking golfers would help. It was idiotic. Yeah, that's true. You need to be in the Senate. Yeah, Real Wesley Smith, I need to be in the U.S. Senate. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Learn how to take them down. Serious Crimes Unit was successfully investigating farm attacks, but the government forbade them from doing so. How would I deal with police corruption? With a police ombudsman and a internal affairs unit. And that's how you deal with it. When the reporter suggested Trump come see for himself, she's still not there, Carolyn. Still waiting for her. Let's see her. Let me check on something else here. All right, let me see something real quick. So, hang on a second. Oops. No, that's not what I want. There we go. Tammy Bruce. I wonder if she's going to be on. It's Department of State. Let's go there and see. They're supposed to have a press conference today too, but they're not up. So if Tammy Bruce comes on, we'll cover that. It's either 1 or 2 o'clock. I'm not sure when. Anyway, so when the reporter says Trump comes see himself, my first thought was, yes, Colonel, yeah, I'd be a great guy. Thank you for that, Maddie. Thank you for the subscription. Police does not have enough manpower and vehicles.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Here we go.
How are we? Good?
Here we go.
Good. President Trump is saddened and outraged over the brutal murder of 2 Israeli embassy staff here in Washington, D.C. last night. Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram were a beautiful young couple. In fact, we learned that Iran was planning to propose to Sarah next week in Jerusalem. Iran's father, Daniel, spoke about the young couple's devotion for one another this morning. He said, "They were in love, one for the other. The embassy told us they were like a star couple at the embassy. I never expected something like this. He had his whole life before him." These words, especially every parent knows, are heart-wrenching. The evil of anti-Semitism must be eradicated from our society. I spoke to the Attorney General this morning. The Department of Justice will be prosecuting the perpetrator responsible for this to the fullest extent of the law.
Death.
Hatred has no place in the United States of America under President Donald Trump. Everyone here at the White House is praying for the victims' friends and families during this unimaginable time. Now for some scheduling announcements. On Saturday morning, President Trump will deliver the commencement address at the United States Military Academy at West Point.
All right.
On Monday, to commemorate Memorial Day, the President will visit Arlington National Cemetery and participate in a wreath-laying ceremony. The President will further honor our military next month on June 14th when he hosts the 250th anniversary of the United States Army with a grand military parade celebration right here in our nation's capital. President Trump will be joined by veterans, active duty troops, wounded warriors, Gold Star families, and patriotic Americans from across the country to celebrate our heroes who have kept us safe. Tickets for the parade and the celebration are available through the America 250 Commission's event registration portal. It will be a truly
Jeez, cranking up the volume
special
now.
day for our country. After the parade, President Trump will travel to the G7 Leader Summit in Canada from June 15th through the 17th. We will be sending an additional logistics information out after the briefing. Last night, Republicans in the House passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, the most significant piece of legislation in years. There were a lot of good faith negotiations in the Republican conference leading up to the final passage, but as always, President Trump came in at the end to bring all sides together and get this deal done. This One Big Beautiful Bill will implement President Trump's Make America Great Again agenda by delivering the largest tax cut in American history for middle-class families, the working class, and small businesses. The One Big Beautiful Bill fulfills President Trump's promises of no tax on tips, which was applauded today by the CEO of Uber, no tax on overtime, a Made in America auto tax break, Trump savings accounts for newborn babies, and substantial tax cuts for our amazing seniors' Social Security benefits. The One Big Beautiful Bill will permanently secure the border by delivering the largest border security investment in history, funding at least 1 million annual removals of illegal aliens to carry out the largest deportation campaign ever, finishing the Trump border wall, and giving pay raises and bonuses for our incredible ICE and Border Patrol agents. The One Big Beautiful Bill protects the Medicaid program and its benefits for the most vulnerable Americans that the program was designed for, by kicking off 1.4 million illegal aliens from receiving benefits and implementing common sense work requirements for able-bodied Americans. The One Big Beautiful Bill also helps get our fiscal house in order by carrying out the largest deficit reduction in nearly 30 years with $1.6 trillion in mandatory savings. Every single Democrat in the House of Representatives who voted against all of these common sense and massively popular policies. The Democrat Party has never been more radical and out of touch with the needs of the American people. The One Big Beautiful Bill is the final missing piece toward ushering the golden age of America. The Senate should pass this as quickly as possible and send it to President Trump's desk for a final signature. After today's briefing, President Trump will hold a Make America Healthy Again event alongside Secretary Kennedy and several other cabinet secretaries to unveil the Maha Commission report. President Trump wants every child in America to grow up and to live a long and healthy life. That's why he's working alongside Secretary Kennedy to end the chronic disease epidemic to keep our children healthy, safe, and disease-free. The Maha Commission report is a historic assessment, the first of its kind by any presidential administration, of current evidence and research about the health crisis affecting America's children. This report is a review of pre-existing research to comprehensively assess what we understand about our health problems and what we don't understand, and how we can find those answers. All of the findings will be based on the gold standard of science. And I think I speak for all Maha moms across the country when I say we look forward to the president's event and remarks later this afternoon. And as we head into the Memorial Day weekend, a quick update on gas prices. According to the fuel savings platform Gas Buddy, the national average price of gasoline is expected to be $3.08 on Memorial Day. We expect that to continue to decline because of the president's energy policies. But this is down from Memorial Day last year. And adjusted for inflation, it's the second cheapest price for a gallon of gas on Memorial Day since 2003, thanks to President Trump. And finally, in other news, the Department of Homeland Security conducted a deportation flight from Texas to remove vicious illegal criminals in the United States. All of these individuals were sent, or are trying to be sent, to a third country. And President Trump promised to get vicious illegal alien murderers, rapists, and pedophiles like these out of our country, and he is trying to deliver on this promise. But no matter how upset this makes Democrats, we will continue to deport these monsters to keep Americans safe. And here are the heinous individuals who were on that flight. A Cuban national, convicted of homicide, armed robbery, false impersonation of an official, kidnapping, and robbery strong-arm. A Cuban national convicted of attempted first-degree murder with a weapon. A citizen of Laos convicted of first-degree murder and robbery. A Mexican national convicted of second-degree murder. A citizen of South Sudan convicted of robbery in the possession of a firearm. A citizen of Burma convicted of lascivious acts with a child less than 12 years old. A citizen of Burma convicted of first-degree sexual assault involving a victim mentally and physically incapable of resisting. It's disgusting. And a Vietnamese national convicted of first-degree murder. Now, a liberal activist district court judge in the city of Boston, Massachusetts, is trying to force the President of the United States to bring these monsters back to our country. Judge Brian Murphy is ordering the Department of Homeland Security to give these illegal criminals 15 days to reopen their immigration cases with access to phones and attorneys. Every single one of these
convicted criminals,
I will add, had final orders of removal from our country. And now Judge Murphy is forcing federal officials to remain in Djibouti for over 2 weeks, threatening our U.S. diplomatic relationships with countries around the world, and putting these agents' lives in danger by having to be with these illegal murderers, criminals, and rapists. This is completely absurd. Judge Brian Murphy is not the Secretary of State. He is not the Secretary of Defense or the Commander-in-Chief. He is a district court judge in Massachusetts. He cannot control the foreign policy or the national security of the United States of America.
But he's trying.
To suggest otherwise is being completely absurd.
Thank you for the super chat, Myra.
According to new reporting about this judge, he's a registered Democrat in Massachusetts who during his Senate confirmation hearings failed to disclose his ties to a radical left-wing organization that claimed the word illegal to describe illegal aliens was inherently prejudicial. This massive judicial overreach by Judge Murphy is part of the same opposition our administration has faced since day one. Radical left-wing judges are egregiously trying to stop President Trump from using his core constitutional powers as head of the executive branch and commander-in-chief. These judicial activists want to unilaterally stop President Trump from deporting foreign terrorists and keeping the American people safe. Nearly 80 million Americans re-elected this president to deport illegal criminals from our homeland. And polling consistently shows that 90% of Americans want illegal alien criminals, especially those with final orders of removal from our country, who have chosen to continue to stay here illegally. Americans want these people sent home. We hope the Supreme Court will continue to rein this in as soon as possible to restore proper constitutional order in our country. We'll take some questions.
Here we go.
And here in our new media seat today, we have Jillian Michaels.
Of course.
She's a renowned personal health expert. I know all of you know her.
Yeah, she's a perky blonde.
Videos growing up. And a media powerhouse who has
continued
to expand her reach with her podcast, Keeping It Real. Jillian, I know you're here to Make America Healthy Again event. We're proud to welcome you to the White House. Thanks for being in the briefing. Why don't you go ahead?
Thank you for having me. As a Maha mom yourself, how do you interpret the significance of this report in terms of delivering measurable health improvements for Americans and their kids, and what specific actions does the administration plan to take in response to it?
Sure. Well, thank you for the question. And again, thank you very much for being here. I would like to emphasize, we held a call earlier today with Secretary Kennedy, Secretary Rollins, Administrator Zeldin, and other officials at Health and Human Services to talk about the gravity of this report. When the president took office, he promised to make this country healthy again.
Yep.
And the president signed an executive order directing this commission. And now, less than 100 days later, the commission is delivering this report. It's another promise made and another promise kept. And the report identifies 4 major factors that are contributing to the rise in childhood chronic disease. Again, this is the first time the federal government has really recognized in a single report that we have a problem in our country. Our children are getting sicker, not healthier. This is not just a crisis, a health crisis, but it poses national security implications as well. And this administration is focused on ensuring we understand why.
Nobody cares about Obama.
The 4 factors contributing to the report, as you will all hear from the president later, are number 1, poor diet, a robust discussion about ultra-processed food that are dominating our children's diets, environmental chemical exposure, plastics and other chemicals that are unfortunately a part of our daily American life.
Yep.
It talks about the lack of physical activity and chronic stress, and how technology-driven lifestyles are contributing to the decline of our children's physical and mental health. And then lastly, the report touches on the over-medicalization that's taking place in our American society, nowhere else in the world, but just right here in the United States of America. And the report directs the entire administration to understand why.
Come on, let's get to South Africa, Carolyn.
What public policy can the administration implement to ensure that we are fostering a more healthy country for our children? So
South
I'll
Africa.
leave it at that and let the president and his team speak more about this historic report later. But this should be good news for everyone. I don't care what your politics are. We should all agree that we want our children to be healthy and safe, and we want our food supply to be healthy and safe. We have the best farmers and ranchers in the world right here in the United States of America. And we have the best workers in the world. We have the best people in the world. But unfortunately, we have a health crisis that's been plaguing us for too long. And this report speaks to the heart of it. You're welcome. Thanks for being here. Garrett, go ahead.
Caroline, you guys are very proud of your record on transparency. I have 2 transparency-related questions for you.
Sure.
On the president's dinner tonight, will the White House commit to making a list of the attendees public so people can see who's paying for that kind of access to the president?
Well, as you know, Garrett, this question has been raised with the president. I have also addressed the dinner tonight. The president is attending it in his personal time. It is not a White House dinner. It's not taking place here at the White House. But certainly I can raise that question and try to get you an answer for it.
Okay, and on the Qatari aircraft, the Air Force has said they're going to classify all the information about the work that has to get done to bring it up to snuff.
Of course.
Air Force One. Previous Air Force One contracts, including the one that the president entered into in 2018, are public. That's available now.
Not the
White House
security
commit to
upgrades.
Releasing who's doing that work and the cost of that work. I understand that some elements might be classified about specific systems, but we commit to releasing that basic information so people can see ultimately what this costs?
Well, Garrett, as you know, that's a question for the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force, who is accepting this jet as part of their fleet.
Declassify anything he wants.
Well, you'll have to ask the Department of Defense and the United States Air Force, who is accepting this jet as part of its fleet. Peter.
The president can declassify anything that he wants. Has he looked to see if there are any records here that would contradict what we've been told about Joe Biden's decline?
He has not directed anyone, to my knowledge, to look into that, but surely I can ask him if he intends to. I think the president has spoken on this pretty extensively, and I have spoken about it extensively from this podium as well, how it was truly one of the worst political scandals this country has ever seen, that the previous administration covered up the decline in the former president's mental and physical ability. And it's now all coming out. But the American people knew the truth, and that's one of the many reasons why President Trump won the election on November 5th.
And President Trump says that he basically thinks unelected Biden staffers concealed his decline so that they could use the levers of power for their own personal gain.
Well, look, that's not just the president thinking that, Peter. There's a new book out. I don't know if any of you have heard about it. Again, a little bit too late, because the American people knew the truth on this from the very beginning. And there were reporters in this room, including some from your network, Peter, I'll give you a little bit of credit here, who have said that clearly Joe Biden's staffers were engaging in this cover-up. So This is common sense. This isn't the president making it up. These are facts that are now finally being revealed.
Right, and I'm not saying the president's making it up, but he specifically talks about the auto pen. He thinks that staffers were using this auto pen.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some kind of like a badge that you have to swipe to use an auto pen? Is there a record of that?
I can tell you here at this White House, the president signs any document that has legal implications. The president signs every executive order. He signs every proclamation. He signs pretty much every document that is needed for the president's signature, with the exception of maybe some letters to children. From what we have heard and seen, that was not the case in the previous administration.
Let's get to South Africa, Ducey.
Good questions that are into. And as for Maha, I'm going to take a sip of water, if that's okay with you guys. Go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. Back to the presidential gala tonight. Did anyone
We're not talking about South Africa.
counsel's office advise the president
Do you see how unimportant South Africa is, guys?
whereby
Fourth question, not one question about South Africa.
money on his Trump coin would then have access to the president at this dinner?
Again, the president has been asked about this. He has addressed this. I have also stated previously from this podium that the president is abiding by all conflict of interest laws that are applicable to the president. And I think everybody, the American public, believe it's absurd for anyone to insinuate that this president is profiting off of the presidency. This president was incredibly successful before giving it all up to serve our country publicly. And not only has he lost wealth, but he also almost lost his life. He has sacrificed a lot to be here, and to suggest otherwise is frankly completely absurd.
Does the White House
Libby,
have
go
any
ahead.
concerns?
Round of nuclear talks between Iran and the U.S. is going to take place on Friday in Rome. What is the president anticipating ahead of that, and if a deal doesn't come from that meeting, is he going to walk away?
Well, I'm glad you brought up Iran, because I do have an update. The president spoke to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. They had a productive discussion. They discussed many things, including, of course, the tragic shooting that took place here in Washington, D.C. last night. But they also did talk about a potential deal with Iran, which the president believes is moving along in the right direction. And as the president told me, and he's told all of you, this deal with Iran could end in two ways. It could end in a very positive diplomatic solution, or it could end in a very negative situation for Iran. So that's why these talks are taking place later this week. Yamish, good to see you.
Hi, good. Thanks for taking the question.
Sure.
The president showed a video that he said showed more than 1,000 burial sites of
Here we go.
white South Africans that he said were murdered. We know that that was not true and that the video wasn't showing that. So I wonder, why did the president choose
What's
to show
not
that
true, you mean?
it's not the video was showing a burial site? It is unsubstantiated that that's the case.
No, it is true that that video showed the crosses that represent
what the president claimed.
the video showed images of crosses in South Africa about white farmers who have been killed and politically persecuted because of the color of their skin. And those crosses are representing their lives. Those crosses are representing their lives in the fact that they are now dead and their government did nothing about it. Are you disputing that there's no...
The video showed what the president claimed it showed, because it did not show that. But even more, what I'm asking you is who at the White House...
No, it did show that. It showed white crosses representing people who have perished because of racial persecution.
Verified the videos that the president shows, and what protocols are in place when there's unsubstantiated information being put out for the world and world leaders to
Yamish,
show?
what's unsubstantiated about the video? The video shows crosses that represent the dead bodies of people who were racially persecuted by their government. In fact, the Associated Press, of all places, has a picture of that very monument, and the caption from the Associated Press is, "Each cross marks a white farmer who has been killed in a farm murder." So it is substantiated, not just by that video and the physical evidence that everybody saw on display in the Oval Office, but also by another outlet in this room, the Associated Press. So you should take it up with them if you believe the claim is unsubstantiated, and that's a ridiculous line of questioning.
Thank you.
John,
She's an
go
idiot.
ahead.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you, Carolyn. The big, beautiful bill now goes to the Senate.
Does, yes.
A lot of the Republican
The
senators
Fatah.
have promised amendments that will water this thing down.
Where's the monument?
What
That
is
wasn't
the
a monument.
president's level of tolerance for their amendments to water it down?
All right, they're talking about the bill. Where is the monument? Well, she mixed something up there herself. That isn't a monument. Those were put out in a protest in September of 2020 after the murder of a couple and then the torture and murder of of Brendan Horner. That's when that occurred. That all, it's either in the edge of KZN or on the edge of the Free State that took place in Normandy. And if I'm not mistaken, it went on for several kilometers representing people. The monument is at Vitkreuz Monument in Polokwane in Mpumalanga province. That's the monument. She's mixing something up there. But this is just stupid people asking dumb questions.
Can celebrate this past the House for a couple of hours, but now it's time for the Senate to get to work. The president has great relationship with Senate Majority Leader Thune, and of course so many friends on the Senate side of the Hill, and he's expecting them to get busy on this bill and send it to his desk as soon as possible. Phil.
Thank you. Given that the president said the other day the SALT cap, we don't want to benefit Democratic governors, if the Senate was to reduce that SALT cap or make any type of changes, would he support that, or is this a situation where done is beautiful and he just wants to pass it?
Well, look, it's a hypothetical question, obviously. Negotiations, well, correct, and the bill passed.
You don't need to send me anything. I know where the Vitkreuz Monument is. For God's sake, I covered the fucking ceremony there. And I know what happened in Normandy, and I just said that.
From President Trump was no tax on Social Security.
No, she's wrong, Teacher CA. She was talking about the crosses that were placed in Normandy and in KZN in September 2020. That's not a monument. The monument, it's the Vitkreuz. So this is the problem with people mixing things up. Then the media play this stupid thing. It's unsubstantiated. Get the facts correct. I'm not criticizing her, but she misspoke.
This bill delivers on that promise. That's the view of the White House.
You had two Republicans last night that voted against this bill, Congressman Massey and Davidson. Does the president think that they should be primaried?
I believe he does, and I don't think he likes to see grandstanders in Congress. What's the alternative? I would ask those members of Congress. Did they want to see a tax hike? Did they want to see our country go bankrupt? That's the alternative by them trying to vote no. And the president believes the Republican Party needs to be unified, and the vast majority of Republicans clearly are and are listening to the president. They are trusting in President Trump, as they should, because there's a reason he's sitting in this Oval Office. It's because he's the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party. Not just a president for Republicans, but all Americans. The president's approval rating is at an all-time high right now, and it's because he knows how to deliver. And Republicans like Thomas Massey and others should take note. Stephen.
Building on the question about Social Security, the bill includes the president's promises to address taxes on tips and overtime. Could you say his feelings about the income cap? Is he satisfied where that landed? And also on a different matter, could you comment on the investigation that the Justice Department has into Andrew Cuomo?
As for the first question, the president is clearly satisfied where the bill landed because it passed. Again, now it has to go to the Senate, so changes could certainly be made. As for your second question, I would defer you to the Department of Justice. Christian.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Can you explain the decision to totally shake up FEMA leadership just a week before hurricane season?
You'd have to ask the Department of Homeland Security in terms of leadership, but certainly the administration, and I know the National Security Council here at the White House is monitoring storms and natural disasters that are happening across the country at all times. We're briefed on those, the administration is briefed on those, and Secretary Noem is leading that effort for sure. Go ahead.
Switching gears, Carol.
Yeah, just following up on Warren Davidson, I wanted to read you his quote that he posted online. While I love many things in the bill, promising someone else will cut spending in the future does not cut spending. Deficits do matter, and this bill grows them. Why should that get a Republican primary?
This bill saves $1.6 trillion for the American taxpayer. It saves more than any bill that has ever passed Capitol Hill has. In fact, by double. The next bill saved $800 billion. This bill saves $1.6 trillion. So this is a very good bill for the American people.
So do I, Rohan. So do I.
And I believe, as an outlet put it with a headline this morning,
you're right, Vanna. She's right. I'm just getting things
they
correct.
Wrote that the American people are going to be flush
Karine
with
Jean-Pierre.
cash when this thing is signed into law, and that's a good thing for American taxpayers.
Last one was Karine Jean-Pierre.
Sure, go ahead.
Caroline, what is the president doing to win Senate passage by July 4th? And does that include work to eliminate carried interest and make business tax cuts permanent? Where is he on those issues?
Well, look, this bill literally just passed the House of Representatives, so now our team is suiting up for discussions with the Senate side of Capitol Hill. The president again said this morning he hopes to see this bill at his desk as soon as possible, and he'll be engaged in the process to get it through the Senate, just like he was to get it through the House of Representatives.
What kind of assurances did he give the Freedom Caucus members to kind of ensure that this would get through last night? Was changes to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac part of that equation, changes administratively to Medicaid as well?
Good
I was in
questions.
that meeting yesterday with the president and House Freedom Caucus, and he told them how he wants to be a cheerleader for them, a cheerleader for the Republican Party, and for the country. And Republicans faced a pivotal moment yesterday. They could have voted to bankrupt the country and increase taxes by $4 trillion, or they could vote for this one big beautiful bill which cuts taxes and saves American taxpayers money. And he put that proposition before them, and clearly they heeded the call because the bill passed last night. Sure.
Caroline, so on the
Or this morning, rather. Every day is going into the next. Go ahead.
The Netanyahu call. Just curious, did the president raise the flow of aid into Gaza? Is he happy with where that situation is right now?
Not to my knowledge, but I can certainly go back and check.
And then, did you have any reaction to the Supreme Court's ruling about the religious charters?
Yeah, it's a good question.
As well as Justice Coney Barrett's decision to recuse herself?
We'll get you an answer on that.
Agreed, Charles.
Specifically, sure.
You mentioned the president has a good relationship with Leader Thune. Has he talked to him specifically about?
I know the
plans to
chat's
get
not
this
blocked,
to the Senate?
Karen.
Does he plan, or is he going to reach out to Republicans who have voiced concerns?
Not to my knowledge has he spoken to Leader Thune this morning. He very well could have. I just wasn't.
Andres Badenhorst, why is South Africa so down low on the list of questions? Guess we're less important than we might think. Exactly. I've been trying to tell you all that for 5 years. South Africa doesn't matter in the scheme of things geopolitically, and you see how little the press cares about it.
These negotiations with the United States Senate to get this bill done.
And just following up on the dinner tonight, you mentioned this is not a White House dinner, but the president is always the president, and the Trump family is making money off of this. So can you just explain how is this not the president using the office to enrich himself?
All of the president's assets are in a blind trust, which is managed by his children, and I would argue one of the many reasons that the American people reelected this president back to this office is because he was a very successful businessman before giving it up to publicly serve our country. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. Last week, the president told Brett Baird that he trusts his people, but thinks that the official narrative on his assassination attempts are, quote, a little bit odd. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said days later that there's no conspiracy to find, and as he put it, quote, the there that you're looking for is not there. My question is the president personally satisfied with the investigations into the attempts on his life? And does he agree with Deputy FBI Director, or does he think there's more to it?
Well, in the lead up to your question, you answered your own question with the president's own words, and I'll leave it at that. Sure, go ahead, Haley.
Thank you, Caroline.
Haley, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to follow up on his call with Prime Minister Netanyahu in his effort to deal with Iran. Does he feel like he has the Prime Minister's
Thank you, Transvaal.
support in this
Thank you.
effort at this point, or did the Prime Minister raise concerns to him in this conversation?
I won't get further into the private discussion between the president and the prime minister, but surely they have a good relationship, one that's built on transparency and trust. And the president has made it very clear to not just Prime Minister Netanyahu, but also the world, that he wants to see a deal with Iran struck, if one can be struck. He does not want to have to take the latter option, the more severe and negative option. He wants to see a deal. The president is a deal maker, and he believes strongly in diplomacy, and he's made that clear to the prime minister, but also to all of you and, frankly, the rest of the world. Mary.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions, one on the terror attack last night and then another on the big, beautiful bill. Do you or President Trump have a message to politicians like Ilhan Omar, who only this morning explicitly avoided condemning this act of terror?
It's despicable. And frankly, we have seen a rise in anti-Semitic protests, of pro-Hamas protests, of terrorist sympathizers. We saw them on our college campuses, and we've seen the Democrat Party turn a blind eye and in some cases actually embrace such anti-Semitic illegal behavior. And that's why this administration has done more than any administration in history to crack down on anti-Semitism. As you know, in January, when the president took office, he signed a new executive order to combat anti-Semitism. He created a commission focused on doing just that. The Justice Department announced their task force as well. The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, has revoked thousands of student visas from campuses where these pro-Hamas terrorists campus agitators and violent protests took place. And we've also withheld funding from those very campuses as well in an effort to combat anti-Semitism. So the president's made it very clear that
Yaku T. Somebody will leak what happened behind closed doors. I have no idea when, but it'll come out.
That defunds Planned Parenthood, not only because of the fact that it's the nation's largest abortion provider, but also because it's, I think, the biggest distributor of transgender hormones right now, even to minors, according to Live Action. So is the president committed to making sure that provision stays in the Senate?
the president has maintained a very clear commitment to ensuring that this administration and the American people's tax dollars are not funding any institution. That includes hospital systems that are funding the chemical castration and mutilation of children. We're not going to tolerate taxpayer dollars going to such efforts. Sure.
Thanks, Caroline. You mentioned at the top of the briefing that the migrants were to be sent to a third country. I was just
They're not
wondering if you
migrants.
could share any more on, which countries the administration
They're not
has
migrants.
agreements with, and what that agreement with South Sudan specifically looks like.
Well, first of all, I won't litigate foreign policy from the podium, but what I will reiterate is the absurdity of this ruling from a district court judge in Boston who is just creating new immigration laws out of thin air. This administration, let me be very clear, because there have been a lot of fake headlines about this deportation flight over the last 2 days. This administration has complied with all court orders. And the individuals whose names I just revealed and whose criminal histories I just spoke of that are on this flight, every single one of them had a final order of removal from our country. In fact, one of these violent illegal criminals had a final order of removal given to him in 1999. It's 2 years after I was born. This individual, this criminal, has been living in our country for an entire generation. And now we have a district court judge who is trying to tell the president and the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security that an illegal criminal murderer who's been hiding in the shadows in our country for nearly 30 years cannot be deported from United States soil. That not only is undermining our entire immigration system, but it is also undermining our diplomatic negotiations with countries around the world. How are countries on this earth supposed to trust the United States government and these good faith diplomatic negotiations when these countries accept these repatriation flights? How are they supposed to trust us if we have radical district court judges who are going to say, no, you can't do that? And now these illegal criminal murderers and rapists have to sit in Djibouti with our ICE agents who now have to sit there for more than 2 weeks without the proper resources. This judge is not only undermining our immigration system, undermining our foreign policy and our national security, but this judge is undermining the safety of the ICE agents who are putting their lives on the line to remove this list of illegal criminal terrorists. It's truly despicable what's happening in our court system, and the president and this administration hope that the Supreme Court will do what it needs to do to rein in these liberal activist judges. And the Supreme Court has already said it is well within the president's purview to dictate foreign policy, and a radical district court judge should not be getting in the way of that. We'll see you all later at the Maha event. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline.
Okay, that's going to end that up. Let's turn that off. That's the briefing. Only one question on South Africa that came out of that, so that was interesting. Let me see if Tammy Bruce is giving her briefing. That might be a chance, more coming from there. I'll turn that down a little bit there. So 2 p.m. That comes on in 15 minutes, Tammy Bruce. That's probably going to be about South Africa, so I'll hang around for that. That's in 14 minutes, and hopefully Tammy Bruce is on time. Let me just, I got to finish typing messages. Employers are... Just disturbing news I just got a few moments ago from somebody. Yeah, South Africa is irrelevant in the scheme of things, folks. Sorry. One with the media alert. America isn't the only country where immigrants go. Yeah. Oh, they go to Canada. They go to Germany. They go to Australia, New Zealand. Right. It's USA Press Spring. But the State Department deals with international relations. So when Tammy Bruce starts at 2 p.m., we should be able to hear more about South Africa questions. More questions of refugees being white than what happened yesterday. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a true statement. That's kind of what's going on. Thanks to the 2,500 people still here with us. We really appreciate that. 2,100 likes. Thank you for that. Be sure to hit the like button. And sorry to hear on your bad news. What's my bad news, Francois? What are you talking about? Reaction says you deserve a Medal of Honor. Thank you. I don't know about that. That's for valor in combat, but thank you. Maybe a presidential citizenship award or something like that. A story that Squirrel said long ago that they're going to boil. Yep. Roy is not a mod. No, nice try. If you're interested, Interact Preparedness also covers projected international outcomes of foreign murders previously suppressed but brought to light by this visit. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Can you share your disturbing news? What disturbing news? Oh, what I just heard. Okay, no. It's no, I need a confirmation from somebody before I do it, so I'm waiting to hear from the person. I'm going to mention something in a moment. I'm waiting to hear from somebody. You talk to South Africans. You've spent much time talking to foreign Southerners who are U.S. citizens. Yeah, I talked to some, Neil, but not so many. I talked to a few. Okay. Well, Teresa, hang on there. It's nothing bad for me. It's just bigotry and racism that's taking place. So I'm waiting to hear back. Waiting for someone's typing to me right now. When I got confirmation, then I'll go with it. Okay. What's this message here? Matteo Puselli says, why should people care about South Africa? Well, you shouldn't put your comments in all caps. You're going to be deleted. Don't do that again. Only my moderator, Hendo, gets to use all caps here so that I see when Hendo types. So this is what the media are claiming now. Trump brandished a stack of printed articles about DRC incidents claiming documented genocide, except that the fact that the picture came from South African media on the first page that he showed. I saw that picture in the media in South Africa before I left. That was a South African news report, not from the DRC. So they're just lying. Let me just check and see if I get a response here. Okay, all right. All right, so, yep. Okay, the disturbing story I have here, just waiting to see if I got a response. Okay. All right, so a person who came here as a refugee has been applying for jobs in the United States, and they've been turned down 3 times in a row for a job they're qualified for as soon as the employer spoke to them, found out that they came from South Africa. Yeah, so the bigotry and hatred and racism is continuing on this side of the Atlantic, at least for one prospective employee who is a refugee. So I've just shared that story now. That's a breaking story here, folks. At least one of the refugees has applied 3 times, and the moment they were in a conversation about the job, and they found that they're from South Africa, one of the refugees, they were denied employment. Denied employment. Yeah. So you see what's going on here? The leftists are pulling their bullshit. Yep. They're pulling the bullshit. So it's already happening. So we've already had the racist Episcopal Church deny services, and now we have American employers violating federal law. They will be exposed. They will be exposed. Yep. Yep. I'm not going to answer that question, Lauren Clegg, because that gives away a location where people are. Okay? All right? Yep. Yeah, they will get a better job. It's true. Yes, the left are in the minority. That's true. What is the obsession with capital letters, folks? Get over yourself. Stop typing capital letters. I don't understand what that's all about. Very strange. All right, I'm waiting for the State Department briefing to start. It's supposed to start in 9 minutes. Tammy Bruce, we'll see. We'll see. Yes, I remember in 2018 he told Bloomberg News at the sidelines of the UN conference in New York that there were no farm murders in South Africa. There are no farmers being murdered. There are no white farmers being murdered. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's always been a liar. He also said that when Trump said, do you disavow what that guy said when they showed the video of Julius Malema? But this is Cyril Ramaphosa on how he feels about Julius Malema.
We would love to have Julius Malema back in the ANC. He is still ANC, down deep in his heart. So We would like to have those who are in the EFF back in the ANC, because the ANC is their home.
Yeah, disavowed the man who calls for the murder of farmers. I don't think so, Cyril. You lied. You lied. And this was a reaction from the orchestrated fake leftist media in America.
The dramatic scene in the Oval Office today.
So here's a minute montage of they get their talking points from their New World Order clowns, and this is ambush is their word of the day.
The dramatic scene in the Oval Office today. The tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown. President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
Ambushed. Ambushed.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Ambush is what the media are doing to Trump. Trump didn't ambush Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa opened his mouth and dug his own grave. Dug his own grave. Dug his own grave. Yep, that's the bottom line there. Okay. Should have been a response to the question, why don't you arrest him? What's this? Media, all lies. Trump not only exposed American media, but exposed South African media. Exactly. Trump exposed them all. Yep. Exposed them all. They don't care how they look. They're bought and paid for. They're shills. Paul von Norvik says, would refugees be able to work for the state and municipalities? Or do you have... you don't have to be a U.S. citizen to work for governments, but you do have to be a U.S. citizen to have a security clearance. So if it's a job that requires a security clearance, you're not going to be able to do it because you can't get a security clearance. Yep. The body language will be doing a video on Ramaphosa Trump. Yeah, well, Trump's body language was he wasn't buying it. Wasn't buying it. What an ambush. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, they're confusing the word ambush. Yep. So we're waiting for Tammy Bruce. While we wait for Tammy Bruce, maybe it's time for baby Trump again. I don't know. Hold off on the baby Trump. That's funny stuff. Love the Trump. But for those of you who think that Trump is going to back down, this is what Trump published on Truth Social just before they all arrived. This is what he published.
Shoot to kill Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa. To kill Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
The mayor of DA in PE is a white man. So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because Mashaba and Soli will not be touched. They will be touched, don't worry. But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness.
Shoot to kill Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa. Shoot to kill Yamaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer. Brr, pa, pa, brr, pa, pa.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, we have not called for the killing of white people, at least for now. I can't guarantee the future.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd understand somebody watching that, especially as it gets shared on Twitter, they freak out. It sounds like a genocidal call.
Cry babies.
sizokushaya uzobaleka tu sizobadubula bazobaleka tu sizobadubula bazobaleka tu. We will expropriate land without compensation, whether they like it or not. If they object, they can seek refuge in America.
That video was put together by Colin Creel of AfriForum, and that's the one that was played at the White House. Yep, so evil knows no bounds. I agree with you. Okay, we're waiting about 3 minutes before Tammy Bruce's briefing, and I expect to see questions on South Africa. That's why we've hung around for this long, folks. Otherwise, we would have wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. So hang tight. Stick with us a little bit longer. Tammy Bruce, hopefully hear questions about South Africa. Ramaphosa is lucky President Trump didn't go full out. You're right. I agree. I said that from the outset. Trump did Ramaphosa a huge personal favor, but not embarrassing him personally. Sean Collette says, my American connection is sending me the thoughts and prayers. They're worried about our safety and how things are going to turn out. They're shocked by what happened in the White House. What do you mean shocked? Shocked? What do you mean shocked? They're shocked in a bad way? A lot of white people live in shacks. Yes, I know. Cindy Ascare. I was at one of those places recently in Pretoria. Of course, the refugee program is still active. Why would you think it not be active? Where are you getting that idea from there, Seven? Beanie rides bikes and their claim that it's a struggle song. That's BS. That's a murder song. It's meant to hurt people. I already given the disturbing news, Sean. I already told the disturbing news. Disturbing news is that one of the refugees, at least, has had 3 interviews for employment here in the States. And each time that they were asked where they're from, they said South Africa, and they were denied employment. Yep. Denied employment. Just like that. And I'll make a video on that after I'm done, okay? All right? Suju sounds like a Pol Pot in waiting. Yeah, well, he's not for real. He's just a coward. Yep, even Mighty Jamie said the EFF singing that song is not helping. Yeah, even Mighty Jamie admits that. Yep. The ENCA reporter hit them with hard questions. They opened the spot. What hard questions? In the press conference? Hey, RSA Bardo Electrical, welcome to you. Yes, Charles, I've said my expectation the refugee program will be accelerated now. Okay, we are just a minute away. Hopefully she's on time. Francois Thrawn, welcome to you. Community Gonda, prayers are being answered. ANC's being exposed. So much more of their filth to be revealed. Yep, you're right, community. That's right. You don't know how much was revealed in the back room that was discussed there. Yep. Did you by any practice chance manage to bug through him? Yeah, I wish. Yes, that person's applying. That person's applying to other jobs. Okay. Why would Trump give up Natasha? Ah, they're mums. Yes, there you go. Purple mums. I picked them up earlier. South Africans have heard for years we don't call for employment. Yep. Yeah, it rolls off our back. Yeah. Waldo Fundervault. Wonder how Cyril can tell President Trump he's not aware of something that's happening in South Africa. Exactly. That was brilliant television. Where's this at? I don't know where this is. In South Africa. Shocked in a bad way, like we're going to be okay. Okay. Okay, come on, let's go, State Department. Let's go. I want to go eat. I'm hungry. Waiting for the State Department to show up. Let me reload, make sure they haven't started. Nope, it's still live. Nothing's happening. So Tammy Bruce should show up at any moment here. Okay, measles, mumps, rubella. What about the MMR? So he found a video from 18 years ago where my day was saying something similar to EFF leader Malema. Have you still got space on one of your WhatsApps? Would like to send you a vid. Send it. It's fine. The back room was a very expeditious PK. Yep, Cupcake left very quickly. Yep, short lunch. It was a short lunch. Was I the only one who heard the South African reporter of the meeting yesterday be like, yes, Mr. President, we'll answer for you, Mr. President. I didn't catch that. What's for lunch? I don't know, Rohan. I haven't had time to look at lunch. I had a dental appointment this morning. I had a cleaning. Teeth are clean. Got my teeth cleaned this morning. Why do they hate you? Because these politicians have spread that to their acolytes, and therefore they hate you. Okay. Yes, it's been exposed. The Fox. I've been exposing it for years. Anton, I said Anton too. It's Johann Rupert. Johann Rupert, that's his father. I was misspoken yesterday. Who's Professor Sean Jacobs who's saying NCAA Trump lie when he sits high and dry in New York? Sounded like a fool. I don't know who Sean Jacobs is. He is a fool if he said that. Yep, absolutely. Never stood back. We can start something for ourselves, okay? You perhaps have an idea how the selection criteria would work for refugee program selecting people for pre-screening. Yaku, that's over. There's no pre-screening. It's done. That was for the proof of concept. It's over. That isn't happening anymore. Now you just put your statement of interest in, and there is no pre-screening. That's it. Just put your statement of interest. There's no process like that. They'll put refugees in states where they have capacity. It has nothing to do with whether their state's red or blue, and that's a misnomer. That's a misnomer. Most counties in America are red. The vast majority of counties in this country are red. Only a handful are actually blue. So the reason would be to attack some intelligence. Who attacked the CIA headquarters, Golden? What are you talking about? Come on, let's go, Tammy Bruce. It's 3 minutes after now. We don't need freaking Africa time here. Yes. How can I get in touch with you? Some questions regarding the refugee program. Well, Louis, Marie, I'm not here to answer people's refugee questions. You guys are killing me with this stuff. I'm so far behind my emails. If you got a question, ask it in the chat. If I can, I'll answer it. I do sound better today, Cordell Hull. Thank you. Cordell Hull was a naval genius, by the way. I was very rough yesterday. It's been that way for days. I got a good night's sleep. This week in the Oval Office, great name for TV show. Yeah, only 7,000 to go. Ben Shapiro just tweeted, lady tried to drive through the barriers. Oh, at the CIA? Well, it's not the first time. Not the first time. I wish Elon had piped. No, it's best Elon was quiet in that meeting. He brought the thunder in afterwards at lunch. He brought the thunder at lunch. Okay, let's see how we doing on the subscribers. 93,169. That's a little bit slower than I thought growing today. Let's take a look at the content. The video I produced earlier, my analysis is up to 67,000 now, but it's tailing off. If I'm lucky, it might make 100,000 today. That'd be cool. Yep. Tarek87 says, no future for me in South Africa. I'm sorry to hear that. Yes, NDK, I'm feeling better. Okay. What about how we're all opposing Malema? What? Trump first on TV about what? I don't know what you're saying there. Chris, quite interesting. Rupert and Hershoff are in Washington. Can this picture be right from your side? I know that Rupert's in Washington, and I've been told that Rob Hershoff is also here. $15. Have a burger for lunch. Thank you for that, Tom Smith. Wow. There's no age cap for refugee status. Why don't you people watch my videos? My God, I killed myself for the past 4 months making videos on this. Indabaafrica.substack.com. List all the videos except the most recent ones, and I'll get that update as soon as I have time. No age limit. No age limit. No physical impairment limit. It's not. Oh my God. Why do people think this is immigration? It's not immigration. Your life is in jeopardy. We don't go and look. Oh, look. Just take the ones that are fit to work. Leave the rest of them to be murdered by the rampaging hordes coming behind them. Come on, man. It's a silly question. Silly question. There is no waiting period, Mike. Where'd it go? Got deleted. There's no waiting period. No waiting period. No, the ANC's not going to wake up. John Pinar. I don't think the ANC's going to wake up. I don't think the ANC's going to wake up for this. Not going to happen. So I'll get rid of the State Department one. So come on. Let's go State Department. I guess she's late now. Tammy Bruce is starting to piss me off. It's 5 after. As soon as I close it, she'll come on. Watch. Game Otaku, 140 Rand, and fries. Well, thank you for the fries. 140 Rand, that will get me some French fries at McDonald's. Wise and insightful Guido Montashi. Yes, I know, Guido Montashi. If they don't give us the aid, we won't give them the minerals. Yeah, right. Almost like Ramaphosa went to the boss's office. Yes. Yep, Eric is correct. I didn't reach 100,000 in South Africa. That was what the deal was. What makes me think that freedom? That's a good question, actually. Did you see Trump's body language? Did you see the reserved behavior of all the people on Trump's team who didn't interrupt? Did you see that? That's what I saw. What I saw is someone very angry that people were late. Then I saw someone who's very angry about people lying. And then I saw someone lecturing the President of the United States. I think the effort by Ramaphosa to lecture Trump, well, do you see what will happen is the president will have to listen. When the president listens to South Africans and hears the truth, then he'll listen, then he'll understand. Whoa! No, Trump's not going to let that go. Trump is going to double down. So that's why I've analyzed that. But I don't have any spies on the inside, if that's what you're asking. Willy Liebenberg, I saw a few videos that all claim that looking at the genocide that we are already at stage 8. Yes, that's correct. Gideon Thrawn, South African whites are seen as poor, even if you're fine. The thing is, they come at night while you're sleeping. Yep. Emmanuel Macron, what did Macron say? I read from Francis full sport South Africa Paris. Yeah, well, he's a moron. He's a moron. Do not be discouraged by job opportunities. Yeah, there's plenty of work in America, and the conservatives will hire you. Yeah, Trump was very pissed off. Yep. Noreen Basson, good evening from South Africa. You said in the interview with Thea that the passport is needed. Do you think that if they speed things up, yes, it'll still be necessary passport. I don't know. Why do you don't think it is? Go get a passport. What about if you still have debt? Who cares if you have debt, Ilse? It's not our problem. Not our problem. Who are the liars, Miranda? Noreen, well, then you shouldn't have sat around for 3 months when I told you to go get a passport in February. No, Bernard, do not wait to submit your interest. Put your interest in now and get your passport. You have to answer whether you have a passport or not. That's not going to stop you from coming in. That's going to let them know you don't have one yet. Okay? Answer honestly. Worked many hours after 2 a.m. with no payment. Used to chat with my family in the early mornings. Hi, the Fox. Okay, what is going on here? So now the world knows, why do we still have to try to convince refugee interviews that we're in peril? Because that's what the program requires, Chris. That's what the program requires. You know, you just don't have to prove you're in peril. You prove you have a legitimate fear. Don't you think that's easy to prove? I think it's easy to prove. Who wanted to bring one more person but was capped? You mean on the non-BE compliant team that he brought over? Thank you, Bogart, for becoming a member. Okay. Orange loves orange, says Teresa. I paid an immigration attorney $5,000 weeks ago and still get my invitation interview. Well, then you're foolish, Rainier. Why would you pay an immigration $5,000? Why would you pay an immigration attorney $5,000? Why are you trying to immigrate? Are you interested in the refugee program? It's free. And I've been saying it's free since February 7th. At 7 p.m. When 38,000 people tune in. Where have you been, Rainier? There's no charge for it. The U.S. Embassy website specifically tells you it's free. You pay for nothing. I don't know why you're paying an immigration attorney. Who told you to do that? Who told you to pay an immigration attorney? I don't... Are you for real? If you're for real, I feel very bad for you. I feel very bad for you. Because this is free. It costs nothing. You're welcome, Noreen. Oh, Rainier's joking. Okay. You want some march on our embassy? Good luck with that. Don't step on the embassy grounds. You'll get arrested. Let's say I'd like to donate my debt to Juju personally. I'm waiting for my ID. Where the hell is Tammy Bruce at? This is ridiculous. She's now 10 minutes late. We're waiting for Tammy Bruce from the State Department, Wilfred. This is likely to be a briefing where South Africa will be brought up and many questions. That's why we're waiting. Everyone's a paycheck away from poverty. Well, not everyone for fish South Africa, but many people are. Waiting for my... What is this? Just waiting... Yes, I heard Neil De Beer was befolked last night. Do I think the killings will increase? No, I don't. Colonel, American Pastor wants to interview tonight. Showed CR Fiasco last night, 69,000. Well, Tina, who is the podcaster? Who is the podcaster? I'm happy to go on the program, but who are they? Tina? The meeting with Trump was ended so quickly because they were late, Steph Pfeiffer, and they had to adjust the schedule. Tina, I'm happy to do it. I give interviews all the time. I didn't see Ronaldo's video. Apparently you have to for the flight. Why are you watching another podcast, Necrocrux, where people are stealing my analysis? I've told you that since February 11th, that you have to pay for the flight, and the International Organization of Migration gives you an interest-free loan, which you're required to pay back within 6 months. I don't understand why people are watching other shit when you get the facts here. Christian Hugo, put your statement interest in, tell them you have a passport. I don't know how many months you have to have remaining passport. I don't think the U.S. will care as long as you have a valid passport. It's not like, you're immigrating or visiting and coming back. Yeah, Tammy Bruce is pulling a Ramaphosa on us. Yep. PK feels bad for my beard. Why? There's no story about a refugee leaving for $300 money. Where do you guys spread these rumors from? Like the nonsense in Port Elizabeth before I left. Oh, the refugees are all being sent home. 300. Where does this come from? Where do people make this stuff up? When can we expect any outcome? James, you're asking impossible questions to answer. The only people who know that are the Trump team. You mean the soldier? He's probably no longer on the color detail. Johan Nothnagel. It's on the channel. Look it up under the description of the channel. It lists the email address there. My email address. Yes, I point to avoid other podcasts. Ernie Els was fantastic. Who's complaining about Ernie Els? He was brilliant. Flying Boar, why don't you call the White House? Because it's just a switchboard. It's not going to get there, I expressed my interest. I filled out an application for the Trump administration. They never called me back because they didn't look at it. You're welcome, Ian Nell. Yeah, last night was pretty entertaining. Some people didn't like me eating the popcorn. That hurt some people's feelings. Sorry about that. What happened, Rudy? Well, we're waiting for Tammy Bruce, who's late. She's 15 minutes late. I'm not going to wait too much longer on her. Who is the biggest winner in South Africa? Where can you get Rob Hersoff's number? I have no idea, Veritas. Not my place to provide that. Who's the biggest winner in South Africa? South Africans. Colonel, you are in contact with all 59 when you plan. I'm not in all contact with all 59. I'll do an interview when people assent to it. I'm not pressuring anybody to do an interview. Oh, sorry. All right, sorry. All right, so guys, we're gonna wrap it up. She's late. She's taking too long, so we're gonna wrap it up. I can record it when she's done. So the poll, we're gonna close the poll, and the poll has 75%. Wow, say that was an epic fail. There you go. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thanks for being here, folks. I gotta wrap it up. I'm doing another thing I'm late for now. I gotta go join them. Catch you a little bit later. Thanks for being here, and look for my broadcast tomorrow morning for you guys. Late tonight for me. At 11:31. That's 5:30 in the morning. We'll catch you guys later. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Thanks for the subscriptions. Thanks for the super chats. Really do appreciate it. And I'm out here. Irene just did something. She gave 140 lunches on me. Thank you so much, Irene, for that super chat. Appreciate it. You guys take care. Cheers.